tackle him.
I don't think this is a straw man. I think Miami Dolphins fans' complaints about injuries and just being unlucky are so much louder than everybody else this year. You take a team that's coming into town that is now a favorite in your building. They've had a load of injuries. More. Look at what's happening with the Cleveland Browns. Everyone is banged up. Some teams historically so. You don't get a pass for that kind of performance just because guys are hurt.
Stugatz, before we get back to the Dolphin-Raven game, because I do want to talk about just the calamity that this is, that the moment we sign up for Vegas, we're signing up for a Browns-49ers Super Bowl.
Oh, that'd be a good matchup.
We signed up for Vegas because we want the Miami Dolphins, the Hard Knocks Miami Dolphins. I still love that show, Stugatz. It felt so good. It felt so good to watch Tua pretend to talk to Braxton Berrios when he was actually calling the most important play of the game for Tyreek Hill. It was so good to see Christian Wilkins so happy for Sealer that he's running off of the field with him just yelling at everyone like a 6-year-old. That's my friend! That's my friend! That felt so good a week ago after beating the Cowboys.
Yeah.
With field goals. But Mike Ryan mentioned something that is absolutely so, and I cannot believe in 2024, the year of our Lord, I'm still asking this question. Is Joe Flacco elite?
You know what? I think Brady was onto something. Remember, he was like, hey, the guys were my time, my generation were elite. All of a sudden, these guys coming up, not that good.
Well, this is what I'm telling you,
Flacco.
Tony, all my life, I will side right by. This is going to stun the audience. I will stand next to Bill Polian, 6-time Executive of the Year, who told me that Lamar Jackson is not a quarterback, he's a wide receiver, and say what he cannot do is be cement-footed, rolling to his right, and throw a cannonball 70 yards because he's Flacco. God damn it, and that's how he does it. And I will never get tired of that. And he'll roll to his left and do the same thing, and it's going 70 yards. And all of a sudden, David Njoku, muscles on top of muscles, the greatest athlete in terms of physical body that I've seen at UM, not named Andre Johnson. Guy looks like a superhero. All of a sudden, Njoku is somebody who cannot be stopped when he's been underwhelming his entire career, Stugatz. And the Browns, first team ever to have 4 starting quarterbacks, and they're going to make the playoffs. Flacco is going to pass Johnny Manziel on the Browns' career passing list.
That's amazing.
In 50 yards. He's going to win Comeback Player of the Year over a guy who died on a field.
He should win it. I mean...
Oh, did you not hear the second half of what I said?
A man who died on the field.
Yes, you're right. And I'm also right.
Half a tackle, though.
He's going to... That's correct. He's going to win Comeback Player over the Year over a guy who died on the field. And no one will disagree with it. They're like, yep, you did that with the Browns, you deserve it. It's harder than coming back from death.
Mike just called him, or someone did, maybe you did, a Hall of Famer. He hasn't been referred to, not a Hall of Famer, MVP. Flacco has not been referred to as an MVP in years. And now we're just, hey, MVP.
He should be considered, no? I mean...
No, he should not be.
He shouldn't be. He's certainly for Comeback Player of the Year.
Amari Cooper.
It's a different Joe Flacco. It's a Joe Flacco that doesn't care. He's not supposed to be there. He's just letting it wing. He is. He is just making crazy passes.
Yeah, no, he is kind of winging it, and they ask him about the turnovers because he does have a lot of interceptions. He's like, meh, part of it. And he does fit the ball into these super tight windows. But this is the point that I was trying to make with the Dolphins and them talking about injuries. Look at the injury list headed into that Thursday night game against the best defense in the league, in which Joe Flacco made to look very pedestrian without Amari Cooper there. Not just without Amari Cooper, without his starting left tackle, without his starting right tackle, without the backup to that right tackle, without Nick Chubb. That happened early in the season. Without both starting safeties, without the starting kicker, without the starting punter, without the starting punt returner. They have navigated injuries in a way that has been pretty unprecedented, and they're locked in the playoffs at number 5.
Let me ask you guys this question, because I was thinking about this on Sunday as Philadelphia was booing its Eagles. And I'm like, God, man, I get it. You don't want to. This is several weeks now where you have to be careful with expectations, because the Dolphins, what we just saw, the Ravens are one of the best organizations across sports this century. The Dolphins are the opposite of that. The Ravens have the better Harbaugh, the Harbaugh you'd want more on a hell of a weekend for the Harbaugh.
Well, thank you.
That sport is hard to stay on top of. Look at the Kansas City Chiefs, Stugatz. 8 times they've now won.
Literally through back-to-back throws, picks.
Rarely weaker than this year. As everyone in the division drafts to stop them, as the schedule is made to make their seasons harder, as the salary cap takes away their Tyreek Hills, I got to thinking this weekend about Kansas City and Philadelphia. The Golden State Warriors have trouble keeping it all together, and that sport doesn't hurt the same way that this one does. Is it possible with the Chiefs and the Eagles that it's just really hard to stay up there over all of these injuries and everything else, and you're going to get ground down physically in a way because of how hard it is to stay on top of these divisions and play all these important games?
Right.
That toward the end of some of these seasons, the wheels are going to come off of the thing because everyone out there now going into a 17th game we've never had before is broken. Like, physically broken. It's hard to get out of bed on Wednesdays. Do you know how hard it is to be the Eagles and the Chiefs at the top of that sport that the Patriots have now given back to others?
I was going to say Brady made it look easy. I mean, the wheels never came off on Brady. They won that division every single year. They stayed atop that sport for well over a decade.
But I mean, the Jets, Dolphins, and the Bills were really in their bad eras.
Somehow their quarterback, the biggest injury risk in the sport this season, isn't. Why? Because he plays like Brady. 2 seconds and out, 2 seconds and out, 2 seconds and out. But what happens when Waddle's out and their defense up front is really good and you need more than 2 seconds now? And Tyreek Hill is, he's made out of the same material as bowling balls, but he's clearly every week. That's hard to do. 15 targets
wow,
a
good job,
game,
Ellis.
and you're being tackled by everyone on the field is bigger than you. Every single person on the field is bigger than you.
They were exposed, and it's tough for Dolphin fans because if you're going to make it to the Super Bowl, in all likelihood, you're going to have to go back to Baltimore and try that again, right? And you're going to feel like you have no hope going into that game.
Not necessarily. The 2 seed is actually a good seed if you want to make it to the AFC Championship game. Because if you're the 2 seed, like the Dolphins are right now, if they win, right, and they're the 2 seed, and everything stays exactly the same, which I don't know how it can.
Do you have confidence in them beating Buffalo?
Oh, no.
So if they lose to Buffalo, Billy, they play Buffalo again, but only at Buffalo?
At Buffalo, yeah. I think so, Billy.
I don't know how these things play out. It depends, right? If the season ended today, right, and the Dolphins are the 2 seed and the Bills are the 6 seed, right, which I don't know who would have to win, who would have to lose between the Colts and the Texans so that the Bills would stay at the 6 or if they'd move down or whatever, right?
I think the Bills have a scenario in which they have to win, and if they win, they're AFC East champs. If they lose, they're out.
Well, but if the Colts lose or the Texans lose, then they're still...
No, there's a scenario the Bills end up down here next week. If we win...
Please, let's not do the show
No.
where we're going
I love playoff
all
scenarios.
of the playoff permutations and everyone gets confused and you guys don't know. Like, let's please not do that.
But here's the thing. If the season ended today, Dan,
you don't need to help here, Stugat. You can sit this one out. If the season ended today, which it does not.
But if it did.
But if it did.
If it did.
Follow the game.
There's no circumstance.
But if it did.
But this is a great scenario. If it did, and the Dolphins were the 2
Nah, I'm
seed,
not going to do it.
they would be
A
playing
little
the
too
Colts,
far.
right? And the Bills would be playing the Chiefs. So the Bills and the Chiefs, one of them has to knock off the other one. If the Bills win and they knock out the Chiefs, then the Bills are the lowest remaining seed in the playoffs, and then they have to play the Ravens.
There's no scenario the Dolphins play the Colts in the first round. The Dolphins can only play...
How so?
The Dolphins...
If the season ended today.
I don't want to do this
I know.
show.
Wait, do it again
I
from
have
the
two
first
sentences.
top.
Hold on. I have 2
If the
sentences
season
here that
ended
make...
today.
From the top, please.
Yeah.
Just write them
Okay,
all of it
let me
down.
just stop you
But
guys.
if the season ended
Not a good throw.
If
Division
you mention that one more time, Billy,
I thought he was talking about next week.
See?
If the season ends today, he's right.
That's the confusion.
Dolphins play the Colts.
What happens if the Titans beat the Jags? Oh, shit.
Forget the noise and pressure around fitness at New Year's. Start in a way that works for you. New Year's is right around the corner. You know what your resolution's going to be?
Cam Newton gets a sack.
Get ready for the beach. Get my beach bod on. But guess what? Everyone has the exact same resolution. And when you head to the gym, you're going to be waiting 6 hours for one machine. This new year, Peloton's making it easier to get started with up to $600 off select Peloton purchases and 2 months free membership. Peloton helps you start no matter what level you're at. Wherever you're starting, there's thousands of classes to get you moving. Whether that's the beginners or advanced rides, feel-good live DJ rides, or even artist-themed rides, they've got you covered. Peloton bike instructors keep you motivated from day one. They'll take the guesswork out of your workout, show you the basics, and help you build from there. Now, Peloton Entertainment keeps you moving. Watch your favorite TV shows and live sports as you ride. Perfect for those days when you don't want to miss a thing. Get started with Peloton's New Year
please be
offers.
wearing
Head to
mounts.
onepeloton.com/deals. Terms apply.
Don Lebitard, Kensley Jansen. I got to be careful here. What did I just do there? Let me start again. Stugatz.
Really
the
good.
closer. Comes in, ninth inning, closes the game out. His name is Kenley Jansen. He has blamed his recent...
This is the Don Lebitard Show with the Stugatz.
Nah, why did it glitch like that?
Can I just read a couple sentences to you? It will make this all seem much simpler.
I don't want to do
Doug
any.
Peterson gets fired.
I think I cleared it up.
I don't want to do any of this.
But the Texans can only sneak in if they beat the Colts.
Yeah, they got
Let Chris read his
14%
sentences
chance.
and then we'll know.
All right,
Yeah.
from the top.
If the Dolphins lose against Buffalo, Miami is in Kansas City round 1.
Okay.
If Miami wins,
I like that one.
they will play at home against either Pittsburgh, Buffalo, or Jacksonville. Now, I have the scenarios of those if you want to go down that rabbit hole, but that's what we're looking
yeah,
in the
but-
worst
yeah,
way.
please.
Let's
Let's
go.
go down the
I don't-
I
Colts
want it. I
rabbit
want it
hole.
in the worst
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
I don't.
All right,
listen,
If the season ended next
okay,
week.
Next
hold on.
week.
I'm gonna make everybody's jobs easy. Browns locked in number 5.
I am about to throw all
Give me
of
Browns,
you in the
Ravens right
penalty
now.
box together. Okay?
What?
I'm about to throw everyone together in
What?
the penalty box. The playoff permutation show, when there is so much to talk about. After the holidays, it's a Tuesday. We have not done a show on Monday. We have not talked about football. We have a lot to get to. You guys fouling this up with playoff permutations that are going to be wrong
You
and
keep
confusing.
interrupting him.
No, they're not. In a couple days they'll be wrong, but if it ended today, they're right.
I'll say this. I'm pretty sure that 1, 3, and 5 are locked in.
Okay.
Pretty sure.
The
Gotcha.
Ravens won. Who's 3?
Chiefs are 3.
Chiefs are locked in at 3.
And your Browns.
Okay. Whoa. You try to get me with that one. They're not mine.
Let me stop you for a second on your Browns and just marvel again at the fact that the Browns gave all the guaranteed money 3 quarterbacks ago. They risked it all. No team wanted Lamar Jackson. But Deshaun Watson, sign us up. We'll give you all the guaranteed money in the world. Didn't get healed until after that quarterback, another quarterback, and another quarterback.
Nobody was
produced
open.
Joe Flacco getting on a plane, and I saw the pictures of him on that plane, flying in, and we all laughed. Flacco joining the practice squad. We all laughed at that. I want you guys to take a guess here real quick. Just how many teams has Flacco played for?
4.
3?
Yeah, Baltimore.
No, Denver.
Yeah,
Hold
Denver.
on, hold on.
Just make your
Hold
guess.
on.
Yeah, just make
So,
a guess.
prior to Cleveland, I'm going to say 3.
Hold on. Most of you, I think,
Wait, I think.
that Flacco has played for 2 teams. You only associate him with 2 teams, I think. The Jets and the Ravens. He's played for, now that this is his 5th team. I have no recollection whatsoever of Denver and Philadelphia.
Wait,
No,
Joe Flacco played for the Eagles?
Can
I'm
you
not even certain I believe you.
I knew about the Ravens and Jets, but in the Broncos, but the
I
Eagles?
mean, if you order on Fanatics, yeah. It may not be your intention, but that's what they'll send you.
I'd like to see if we can get that and drape you in it because you've got a real moral conundrum here.
What, me?
Yes, because
I don't have a moral.
Yeah, you do, because you sat all of the Browns' allegiances out, and this is the most lovable Browns team there's ever been.
It was lovely. I was watching a little bit on Thursday because I was in New York and I was on local TV, so I didn't have to go out of my way to watch it. I was like, okay, let's see what this Joe Flacco thing is all about. And, I watched it, and I was caught up in it. Joe Flacco having his 4th consecutive 300-yard game. Deshaun Watson's yet to do that in a Browns uniform.
Mike, while the game gets put in a phone booth and Baker Mayfield, who's been great this season, gets reduced to 99.
Since the players on that roster, I think the Joe Flacco story is super cool. I was kind of getting swept up in it. And then there was a camera shot of Joe Flacco dapping up Deshaun Watson on the sideline. I was immediately reminded of all of it. And what I can't fight what happens inside of me when I see that guy on the sidelines. Is a visceral reaction. I do want my friends to be happy. I do want Stefanski, Myles Garrett, Nick Chubb would get a ring. I don't root against the Cleveland Browns at all. If anything, I root for them in these games. But every time I see Deshaun Watson, I can't fight what happens inside of me.
What happens if the Texans beat the Colts?
Yeah, let's tackle a few more.
No one wants to see CJ
Are they in a
Stroud.
win?
Nobody.
There's
Texans
a
have-
tiebreaker situation.
Yeah.
And that might be a winning in.
How about Mike Tomlin, huh? Did
Yeah.
it again.
No,
Yeah.
did it again.
Can I say what
Did
I
what
want
was
to
to
happen? I think this is what I
You
think
want
is
the
the
Dolphins
best
to win the
case
Super Bowl.
scenario for the Dolphins.
Okay.
The Dolphins win.
All right.
Jacksonville.
Rudolph.
You don't want that.
That's our best
You don't
case
want those
scenario.
problems.
That's not best case.
We'd
You don't want
rather
those
have
problems.
Jacksonville here than Pittsburgh.
That's if the season ends next week.
You'd
Right.
rather have Jacksonville. You don't
By
want
the
those
way,
Steelers.
How do the Bills not get into the playoffs?
They lose.
They lose.
No, but they got a
Other
29%
teams need to
chance
win,
for the 7th
right.
seed.
Yeah. They lose and the Jags win.
This is exciting, Billy. In the NFC, if the season ended today,
I'm not focused.
Wow.
the Rams play
What
the
a hit.
Lions. Now, I want to see Stafford.
Oh, that's a good
Yes.
one.
Mm.
Stafford Goff, that trade. What a storyline.
So this is how we get Jacksonville.
Dan Campbell's a dummy,
This
right?
is how we get Jacksonville down here in Miami. We'll get to that later, Billy.
There's too much to talk about.
The Dolphins win. The Titans beat the Jags, which is a little bit of an upset.
Wait, so
what a bad loss.
wait, the
that
Jags
was,
can
huh?
still get in if they lose?
The Jags can get in, yep.
Damn, I got
Don't
put
want
on.
to do this.
And that would be if Baltimore then beat Pittsburgh.
Because you don't want to do
Hacking
it.
their way
Vegas
in.
beats Denver.
Oh.
Then Jacksonville comes down.
Why did,
Oh.
I
I need
didn't
to
even
focus
think
on
that game
today. Dan doesn't want to do hypotheticals of if the season ended next week. He wants to do if it ended today, what would
Okay.
happen.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
that's the
Right, right,
confusion.
right.
No, no, the
I'm
confusion.
gonna help you out. Browns 5 seed.
Locked in?
Locked in.
Mm.
All right.
All right, I vowed resolute after New Year's to have more patience and more joy in my life. Okay, and you
Resolution, huh?
guys are really, really testing it
Hmm.
because I believe there is no worse thing that we could do as content today in sports than give me playoff permutations.
Disagree. Fantasy football championships.
I know you disagree.
We're the Eagles.
Lewis won our work league.
A lot of people
What
owe him
happened?
money. I have a whole list of people who are delinquents here who have not paid their dues in the company league.
Dan, if you don't like that game, how about which Super Bowl matchup would you most want to see?
Wow.
I mean, there are some doozies out there. How about Tampa and Cleveland? Baker versus the Browns.
What you have not allowed me to do so far, because I've wanted to do it for about 4 days. I do not want to talk about how dumb it is that violence gets decided by, hey, did that fat guy tell the referee that he was going to go for
What a catch.
or not? I don't like that LeBron James at his age hits a three against the best defense in the sport to tie a game when he's still being great. And instead of talking about that, we're talking about replay. Instead of talking about Dan Campbell throwing it to a fat guy in that situation, the balls of that, we're talking about the refereeing.
All right, I've got the scenarios if the playoffs ended today.
Yes.
All right.
Wish it did, honestly.
These would be
Game
your
by game,
games.
yeah.
I think we can assume Jacksonville hosting Cleveland is your Peacock exclusive.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So that's your super wild card matchup in the AFC. On the other side of the bracket, you have Tampa Bay hosting the reigning NFC champion Philadelphia Eagles.
Wow.
That's a great game.
Shootout.
Then, as you mentioned, the golf trade matchup between Detroit and the Rams.
That's for everything.
Double revenge game.
How about this? Green Bay travels to Jerry World.
Wow.
What a matchup. Down on the AFC side of the bracket, you get Kansas City and Buffalo doing battle once again.
Mhm.
And if the playoffs started today, you would get a matchup between the Dolphins and the Colts,
You like
which
that.
I think is an impossible matchup, no matter what, next week.
Dan?
Why don't you go, Stu guys? Like, why are you got a giant
Well,
smile.
Mike did it for you.
You got a giant smile on your face. You got a giant smile on your face. And none of you allowed me to get to Dan Campbell not knowing what to do with his gum, throwing it awkwardly into a piece of paper that wasn't meant for it, and then putting it awkwardly in his pocket.
Don Lebetard.
Oh, I think Larry Fitzgerald's on the green right there.
Stugats.
That's Alfonso Ribeiro.
How? How?
And the sun. The sun.
Too much of the weed for Steven.
All right, whatever.
Alfonso Ribeiro has a great ass.
This is the Don Lebetard show with the Stugats.
That was a hit stick? I'll take it.
In the AFC, the Ravens are in, the Chiefs are in, the Browns are in, the Dolphins are in. The Bills win the AFC if they win, but they clinch a playoff
With the
berth.
AFC East.
Yeah, they win the
Okay.
AFC
Right.
East, yeah, if they
Yeah.
win. But they clinch a playoff berth if they tie. If the Steelers lose or tie, or if the Jaguars lose or tie, or if the Texans and Colts tie. Now, Houston clinches the AFC South Division title if the Texans win plus a Jaguar loss or tie. And they clinch just a playoff berth if the Texans win or Texans tie plus Jaguars loss plus Steelers loss or tie.
Now I got it.
Now the Colts,
Right.
Yeah.
the Colts clinch the AFC South Division title if the Colts win plus a Jaguars loss or tie, or the Colts tie plus Jaguars loss. Now, they clinch just a playoff berth if the Colts win or Colts tie plus Steelers loss or tie. Now,
Hold on,
the
can you
Jaguars.
do that again?
Those were some pretty good college football games yesterday.
Just needed one more time.
But those college football games,
Jags.
they're worth talking about.
Just repeat the Colts.
The Colts clinch the AFC South Division title if they win plus Jaguars loss or tie, or
It's the ties.
Colts tie plus Jaguars loss.
The ties always confuse me a little bit.
Yeah.
Love a good or.
Yeah.
And then they clinch just a playoff berth if they win, or the Colts tie plus Steelers loss or tie. Now the Jaguars.
Oh, the Jaguars.
Michigan, with a coach who wasn't around half the time and is the best Michigan team ever, beat lovable underdog Alabama with one of their worst teams under Saban, so that they get the right to play Indiana's quarterback in the championship game after he defeated a coach who was fired from his last job for reportedly drinking on the job.
You guys know there hasn't been a tie in the NFL the entire season? Not a single tie.
You're saying we're due.
Yes.
That's why he included them in the rundowns.
Exactly.
God bless football didn't have a place to exist yesterday. I don't know why that was. I was hoping that Stugatz and Billy would get to the microphones and break down all of the football permutations there. You could have done that there for an hour and 30 minutes nonstop, and
we could do it here.
A welcome place.
Why do it there when we can do it here?
This is not a welcome place for it.
Right.
This is
How come?
because there are other things to talk about that are better things to talk about, and we've had 10 days off, and there's a lot to be said that isn't the Colts permutations.
We didn't get to the Jags yet. They clinched the AFC South.
McAfee's doing the Colts permutations today. We should be doing other stuff.
He's talking about college football. Let's zag.
Yeah.
I don't care what the playoff permutations are.
Actually, let's zig, because the others are zagging. The zag is established. We're zigging.
Are you saying that you're thinking about not going to the Super Bowl if the Dolphins don't make it? It seemed like you were headed there.
we're in too deep.
Did you get
now.
travel
No.
insurance?
Yeah, travel
I never know
insurance.
what to do there.
Yeah.
You know?
I press no.
We're in too deep is the problem. These things require a lot of planning. I didn't even consider until yesterday that Vegas might be cold in February.
Oh, it will be. Yeah. No, I'm always there for late season football. It's always cold.
We're going to be outdoors, aren't we?
Yeah. Oh. There's heat lamps. Come on.
Oh, yeah.
Buck up, buckaroos.
Yeah, nothing
pool
could go
party?
wrong. Nothing could go wrong with heat lamps.
Oh, now we're worried about heat lamps exploding. Come on, let me tell you something. You got way too much stress in your life if you can't trust a heat lamp.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju, at Levitard Show. Do you have way too much stress in your life if now you can't trust a heat lamp?
It's 42 degrees in Vegas right now.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Pool party.
Weather.
But it's a dry cold.
Oh, yeah.
We are, again, I want to point out to you that the moment that I find out, okay, let's just do this, everybody wants to go, they're all excited about the Dolphins. The Dolphins are about to play the biggest game they've played this century, correct? The biggest regular season game, and this is for the division, and it really is. Can we get lucky with some other people getting hurt as well?
Yeah, there was the Pennington at Brett Favre. Philip Merling did something. That was for the division in like 07.
What'd he do?
It is something.
Pennington, no, they won a division, and Baltimore came here and ravaged them, which Baltimore might do again. That's not the point. This is the best.
So we'll go there.
No, in no scenario are the Ravens coming here. I'm going through the page. They will not be
That
here
ship
under
has sailed,
any scenario.
That sailed on Sunday. Again, though, as I watched in horror. Okay, because it's one thing to lose, you guys. It's one thing to lose, but to lose that way, which Baltimore, let's be honest about this, that was a letdown game for them. They had just beaten San Francisco at San Francisco. They're super hurt. Nobody wanted their quarterback this offseason. I watched as Twitter account after Twitter account for bad football team told me not interested in Lamar Jackson. That's a thing that happened 6 months ago.
You know,
Yes.
Dolphins were coming off Dallas. I mean,
That's a letdown game for them, too.
So week 17, 2008, Philip Merling intercepted a Brett Favre pass and returned it for a touchdown, helping the Dolphins clinch the 2008 AFC East Division Championship.
you're right. He did something.
I know that TV ratings are largely fraudulent these days and hard to count, but that Cowboys-Dolphins game is the most watched television program, not a Super Bowl, since 1995 of any kind, because it was Cowboys, because somehow, good God, the NFL stole Christmas just like that from the NBA? That made it that easy, where the rating numbers are the NFL is doing 30 times the number as Heat Sixers. Even Lakers Celtics, a classic, 6 times the numbers. 5 million is the best that the NBA can do, even as everyone cheats at the numbers. The NFL comes in there and just steals it, and Miami wins the game. And we decide to go to Vegas for the Super Bowl. And then Baltimore happens. Then Baltimore happens like that, which is you've got more guys getting hurt now. You're not healthy at the right time, and here comes Buffalo, and they're better than you are.
You're getting unhealthy at the wrong time.
That's correct.
Yeah.
You know what's weird about football is that Bills fans are not confident in the Bills, but everyone else is afraid of the Bills. And Eagles fans are not confident in the Eagles, but other people are afraid of the Eagles.
I would say the same thing of the Bills to you guys that I would say of what you've watched this year from the Eagles and Chiefs. The expectations in that sport are really hard. It's hard to stay up there.
I tried.
And Josh Allen has
That was just a bad read on my part. And if they score, it is basically a mistake on my part.
4 turnovers. That's quite possible. But also, they could beat you 48-20 like they did the last time that you played, because when he plays perfectly, you're not beating them in whatever your form. It's why I thought, Stugotz, and it's easier to say now, but it's why I thought, man, they're going all in with Chubb and everything on Buffalo right now, and they have to, because they got to do this in Tyreek Hill's window. They got to do it while Tua's cheap, but they're also getting injured now, and Buffalo is less injured.
And
Not really. Not less injured. Plenty of injuries on that defensive side. They've injuries that would be really hard to overcome, and they
Ooh, is this an injury off?
Well, it's just they have more. See, Dan's doing the thing. Dolphins, you're not more injured than everybody else.
If you did the math, though, they might be, Mike. I get your point is everyone's injured, but the Dolphins do have a lot.
Mike, they lost Phillips and Chubb. I mean,
and their center.
It's not just that.
They're hugely important pieces in the secondary of Buffalo, and that is what.
And the Dolphins
what the
haven't
Dolphins
had
do
Holland.
well.
They haven't had both their safeties for like 3 straight weeks.
I don't actually want to do injury.
It's an injury off.
It's not any better than playoff scenarios.
It isn't. You mentioned Kansas City. They stink.
Oh, they're bad.
They're bad.
They're not good. They're not good, and I know we wanted to make injury excuses for them. What? Which injuries? What? Their wide receivers stink. Travis Kelce's not the same. I don't know what's going on with him. He's just not the same player.
Mike, you know exactly what's going on with him. You know exactly what's going on with him.
Tried to tell you.
Hold on.
So
Everyone.
If the Steelers win and the Bills lose, the Steelers are in.
Wow.
Right. The Steelers win and the Jags lose or tie, the Steelers are in. The Steelers win, the Colts, Texans tie, Steelers are in. If the Steelers tie, plus the Jags lost, plus the Texans-Colts doesn't end in a tie, or the Jaguars lost, plus the Broncos win, plus the Texans-Colts doesn't end in a tie, Steelers are in.
So who's in if it's all ties?
I need you guys to stop for just a second, because
There hasn't been a
Tony, and I'm sorry this has happened to you. It's unfair, okay? Because when it's the original crew in here, it gets crowded very fast, and there isn't a lot of
We're
room.
ball hogs.
The OC.
Like such ball hogs. Such ball hogs. And Tony's being respectful, and he keeps standing in a corner, and I see him. He's got open threes, and he wanted to get in badly on an accusation that no one here has made toward Travis Kelce. And he had something, and I don't know what it is. I can suspect what it is, because Stugotz jumped into the fray and said, I tried to tell you.
Yep. Tried to warn a friend, Dan.
I tried to tell you. So when the question becomes what happened with Travis Kelce, Tony, the ball is yours. It gets crowded around here when all these guys want to talk about injuries and playoff scenarios.
Dan, it's very simple.
Pfizer.
That is not the accusation that's being made now by Skip Bayless and others. Stugotz did try to warn you. He told you that as soon as it got hard in Kansas City and if Travis's play fell off, people would be saying they were amorphous people. He wasn't saying it was him. He was just saying it was other people.
Yep.
They were going to say that Taylor Swift is a distraction.
No.
Yes.
Yep.
Stugotz tried to warn you. He was
I did.
first.
Yep.
But Skip Bayless over the Christmas break, ringing in the new year, has just said it on Twitter, Stugotz. Just like that.
Yep.
He has said, let's talk about this, Andy, Patrick, Travis. It's time to wonder whether Taylor Swift is a distraction. And Tony is so ready to agree with that. And I'm just telling you, football is hard to stay on top of. But go ahead, blame the girlfriend.
It's not the girlfriend. It's the distractions that have happened in and out. You hear about Travis talking about retirement. You know the rule about retirement? When you're talking about it, mentally you're already there.
You checked out.
You checked out.
Yeah.
This team, he looks across MVS. He looks at Rasheed Rice, who's actually pretty good. I like Rasheed Rice. But he's looking around
This
saying,
is
you know
second
what? This
quarter.
is not
I
the
can come back.
team that we once had. Why am I going to give max effort if I know in the back of my mind, hey, next year, I feel like I'm good.
He's also the same age as Rob Gronkowski. He's the same age as Russell Wilson. He's 34 years old. I mean,
Old 34.
I know that people historically you don't associate Travis Kelce with injuries, but he started his career being very injured, forced him to miss his rookie season. That's a big
Torn ACL and MCL.
10 years, he plays all the games for 10 years.
The Bills have had like 3 serious injuries this year. I mean, come on, Mike. Jordan Phillips.
That's pure.
Tre'Davious White.
Okay, big.
No. I know these are big, but that's it. Those are the 2 big, and Damian Harris.
Okay, that was. I mean,
I'm just saying. I'm just saying that's 3.
What?
And the Dolphins have lost at least 4.
They lost 20 touchdowns.
You're trying to have an injury
running back
off.
depth. We are having an injury off now.
Falcons are easy. Falcons win plus Buccaneers loss. Falcons are in. Boom.
It's an injury off.
Kelsey has 93 catches.
This year?
Yes. It's
No, it's not true.
How many drops?
Not true.
It's a down year for him.
Does not have 93 catches.
He does.
You're looking at last year's stats, guys. Sorry, come on.
Fake stats. Fake news.
You're listening to DraftKings Network.
Today's episode of the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz brought to you by Peloton. Party on a bike, or rower, or treadmill, or app, or walk, or weight room, or anywhere. Peloton.
Welcome to the Big Suey, presented by DraftKings.
Why are you listening to this show?
The podcast that seems very similar to the other Dan Le Batard podcast.
I'm sorry. I'm not going to apologize for that.
In fact, the only difference seems to be this imaging.
I have
What?
been tempted in restaurants just walking past tables to grab somebody's prize.
Cobra 19.
There. That hasn't happened to you guys?
I've done it.
And now, here's the marching man to nowhere, Bet Face, and the habitual liar.
I've got 2 dueling energies in here, Stugotz. I've got a whole bunch of people who have had microphones for 10 years and haven't had them for 10 days. All coming in off of the holidays with a lot of opinions on a number of different things, inside and outside of sports. This is our original crew kind of doing it together for 20 years with Tony. On the other hand, I've got Stugotz already saying he's tired in 2024, that the holidays ravaged him, and I think he's going to work today like a lot of people are. You don't want to be back at work because you're struggling after the time off and how sedentary you were, that you sat around and didn't do anything, you argued with family, you realized that the life without the microphones is kind of silent, you got college girls coming home, they don't respect dad the way they used to.
It's the worst. First off, I feel gross. Just from sitting around, eating, drinking, doing Lord knows what for 10 days, I feel disgusting. I watch so much football. I feel gross. But I want to address what you just brought up. Because, guys, I have told you this, and I'll tell you again. Enjoy every second of your kids. Every second of it. Even the worst possible things that you can do. Even when they're being bad. Enjoy it. Embrace it. Love it. Because eventually they'll become teenage monsters who go to college and think they have all the answers. I had Rachel and Emma both home, and I was in a fight with Rachel. And I said, if you roll your eyes one more time, there's going to be a problem. A big problem. And she said, really? What are you going to do?
Oh, goddamn. I mean, that's where
I didn't have an answer.
That's a checkmate. Checkmate. The fraud has been revealed. That or else that has meant something for 18 years. No, when you live on your own and realize you can have your own money.
The fake threats is a problem for parents. Because, like, you always want to do the thing like, hey, if you don't do this, don't make me. We'll leave right now. We're not leaving. We've never left.
I'm going to turn this car around the other day. Wow. I'm old now. I crossed that threshold. It came out of my mouth just organically. And there was silence afterwards, and it was my own silence. I'm like, did I just threaten to turn this car around?
Stugotz.
I threatened to kill Santa.
Whoa!
Kill?
Like murder?
It needed to be done.
Like, it's not bad enough that she has to witness Santa dead in a pool of his own blood.
If you pee in this bed one more time, well, it's my bed.
She now has to imagine her father in jail for murder.
How'd your wife take that?
Famously for murdering Santa.
That's right.
Is Santa like the most famous person you could murder?
Put it on the poll, Juju, at Levitard Show. Is Santa the most famous person that you could murder? There's a podcast there. Those murder pods are very popular now. We could get something off the ground. The great story of the famous criminal who set out to murder Santa.
So you just said if you pee in this bed one more time, I'm going to kill Santa?
Over the break, she likes to sleep in our bed, and you're not peeing in this bed. That's what your bed's for.
Put it on the poll,
That's
please,
not what her
Juju,
bed's
at
for.
Levitard Show.
It's not what any bed is for.
Put it on the poll at Levitard Show. You're not peeing in this bed. That's what your bed
Oh,
for.
you gotta be fucking serious.
I want to get to this video, Stugotz, because I just want you to watch the awkwardness. And Enraged Dan Campbell is wonderful. I do really want to. I know everybody wants to yell about the officiating. I get it. But just step back, okay, from the minutia for a moment.
Right.
Because Dan Campbell is wonderfully stubborn. Dan Campbell, you could have put, once he told his team, we're going to score here and we're going to go for two, he could have got 700 yards in penalties and been outside the stadium. And
he would have went for it on the 50.
He was going to go for two.
At what point does he readjust?
No,
Let me take in the new information.
No, look, man Campbell stubborn does not readjust. Not for any man, not for any bear. No.
Come on, at the 40-yard line, he's like, all right, 55-yarder.
No, look, I want to examine this for a second, okay? Because, Stugotz, this is worth something. The stories in sports are wonderful, okay? Detroit made its two best players ever quit, and Stafford had to go somewhere else to make Puka Nacua now something that Calvin Johnson was, that Stafford has had a lot of excellent production, had to leave Detroit to get it. That is the saddest sack franchise in our most popular sport for half a century. You think the Dolphins are bad this century? Double it. The Detroit Lions made their two players, their best players, quit. They go into America's team. Jerry Jones is still living off the fumes of 30 years ago, okay? Detroit went in early this season. Oh, they beat Kansas City. Expectations. Maybe Detroit can do something. And Man Campbell, eating kneecaps. Caveman coach working for Ford. Drinks 2 giant coffees a day that are the equivalent of 20 Red Bulls, and starts his day and is going to gnaw your face off, and he's going to tell his team, whether it's in Dallas or not, we're going to go down there, we're going to score, and we're going to go for 2. Then has the balls with all that history behind him. And the play I'm going to call with Jared Goff, who none of us believed in, the play I'm going to call, because I don't fear any of what's happening around here. I have the belief of my men. We're better than 50 years of Lions football. I'm going for 2. And I'm going to beat Dallas in Dallas because I like the math of my offense is really good. I got confidence in it, 3 yards to 8 yards. I like my chances. I'll play one play for the game. And then we get into a procedural conversation about refereeing and did someone declare, and it obscures that this man went in there and did something unbelievably stubborn and ballsy and lost. And at the end of it, Stugotz, because this is the part I did enjoy, he doesn't know what to do with his rage or his gum. If you were in a private room, things would be getting thrown around, walls would be dented, he would headbutt, he'd welcome in wild animals, he would grapple with them, but this is him in public, very frustrated with losing and not knowing what to do with his gum.
70 reported. Yeah, the explanation was 70 reported. Yes.
And do they need to announce that if both players report?
2 people can't report.
Stugotz, I need to explain to the audio audience that the next day, on a chair in his hotel room, or wherever it is that he was, he reached into that pocket and found that piece of paper and that gum. It had been left there.
It's a good thing he used paper. You ever put chewed gum in your pocket without paper? Oh, it happens occasionally. It does. It does. It does. It's happened to me. I don't know what to tell you.
What do you mean it's happened to you? As if you haven't chosen it. What do you mean it's happened to you?
I think you got to swallow it at that point.
What? That's
yes.
To come out.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju. If you swallow gum, does it take 7 years to come out?
What they say.
Remember when Chris Whittingham told us that he always swallowed gum and he didn't know it was wrong until that exact moment?
The Lions look like they're going to be the 3 seed, Dan, but they still could be the 2 seed.
Right.
Yeah. To get the 2 seed, they have to beat the Vikings. The Eagles have to lose to the Giants. The Cowboys have to lose to the Commanders. But both of those games are in the late window where the Lions play in the early window, so they're not going to know what's going on.
You guys would agree, a little too cute with that play call. Like, you don't want to rely, the referees, you know, it's a busy time. The referees are running around trying to spot the ball.
Busy time, Stu. It's their job.
You got 2 guys trying to check in. It's the holidays. I mean.
So why did 70 go over to Brad Allen?
It's an illusion.
Yeah, but you're banking on the referees hearing everything and getting it right and not knowing who should be downfield and who shouldn't be. It's too cute.
Was that like the 2
Oh, come
where
on.
like the number 70 goes over to the official, so it's like, ooh, who really?
I want to explore actually what Stugatz just threw in the mix. I've heard a lot of people talk about this ad nauseum, in every possible conceivable forum for talking about these things. But I want to give Stugatz credit for something. Working during the holidays is tough.
Yeah.
And maybe those refs didn't want to be out there.
Right.
Maybe somebody's got some stuff at home going on, things on his mind, no one's working, everyone else is mailing it in at work.
Brad Allen's daughter's getting married, maybe, like playoffs.
Doesn't
So it's like,
She comes home from college, she's rolling her eyes, he's out there on the field saying, I gave her the or else. And she's like, and what, Dad? What are you going to actually do? I've lost my daughters. And now 68 is reporting in 70. He's thinking to himself, man, Campbell's not going to throw it to a fat guy here. Like, what?
Who checked in? Who didn't check in?
Who cares? I had too much turkey this morning.
In the press conference, Dan Campbell stumbles over his words and says 58 instead of 68. You see, mistakes happen.
Yep.
Let me tell you who's skating. Mike McCarthy. All the attention's on those officials. What the hell was Mike McCarthy doing at the end of the game? Look, I know this is going to sound ridiculous coming from me.
What was he doing?
It's going to sound ridiculous coming from me, but you got to kneel.
Holidays, Mike. Yeah.
Maybe it was the holidays. Dayball, too, at the end of that game. Dayball's his clock management at the end of that game.
What about Saban at the end? Saban and Harbaugh taking timeouts and positioning.
Oh,
Harbaugh wanted to, like, let me get an extra snap here to screw up.
What was that timeout?
It was a chess match.
No, it was not a chess match.
It was not a chess match.
I was like, are they going Hail Mary here from the
what?
Hold on. Let's call that timeout there. Wanna just risk something going wrong here.
Let me snap it again.
More adversity. More self-imposed adversity for our team to overcome.
But this is Michigan's thing. Michigan keeps saying, we've overcome adversity, as they keep punching themselves in the face. I can't believe how resilient we are about withstanding all the blows to the face that we keep administering. What are we going to do with the one after dropping the punt for no good reason? And almost ending that game in the most famous way ever with that would have been a safety in that spot.
Yeah.
Would have been the most famous ending, like bigger than the.
I can't get in the running game today. What the hell?
Alabama, if the game with that stakes ends
a walk-off
safety with that ball, but all of it. I heard Herb Street and Fowler were saying, well, silver lining, he did, get back there and he really showed great resilience. But if it had been 1 yard deeper, Michigan would have never forgiven that poor kid, ever. And Harbaugh's out there on the goal line calling extra timeouts because he wants to fumble a snap into the end zone.
I know the previous kneel backed us up to the half-yard line, but let me call this timeout and see if I can get even closer.
Bro, what the fuck?
The game might have ended in a safety.
Oh, wow, I got the ball back.
Kneeling for the safety.
That no one understood what
I was screaming at Saban. I'm like, why are you waiting till 12 seconds? Because if something does indeed go wrong, you want to leave your offense time to do some work there. But then Harbaugh starts taking the timeouts.
It's like, something's going on here. What is going to happen? And then they just kneel it again. It was like, what just happened?
And you guys didn't let me talk about it because you wanted to get to Colts permutations. You didn't let me talk about Dan Campbell's gum. You know that gum was found in a pocket the following morning, right? Dan Campbell wears the same jeans 4 days in a row, does he not?
He's never washed them.
Who doesn't?
Right.
Huh?
The Colts one more time.
Yes, please.
Hold on. I think I'm missing a page.
Texans winning in?
Right.
How do the Bills end up down here?
They don't.
There's no scenario in which they don't.
They can't. The Bills can end up down here round one.
Season's greetings, everybody. It is Mike Ryan here to talk to you about Miller Lite, but also here to talk to you about this festive season and how Miller time can make holiday time even better. I love this winter weather. It's a great excuse to go outside and toast some wonderful memories with some friends. Why don't you do that with an ice-cold Miller Lite in your hand? And in some parts of the country, you don't need a koozie. It just stays cold out there. How wonderful is that? Take a sip, my friends. Look around. Reflect on your year. You made a lot of good calls, and no call better than having this Miller Lite right now. A beer that is brewed for taste. You know it's triple hops brewed? They could have stopped brewing it twice with hops, but they didn't. They went that extra mile, and they brewed it with hops 3 times. The original light beer since 1975, and still the best one. I'm talking about Miller Lite. Great taste, 96 calories. Go to MillerLite.com/stand to find delivery options near you, or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. Tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.
Don Lebitard.
Well, Charlie sent. Charlie had this. Charlie, as far as I know, so just Charlie's title in my.
Are you going to say anything?
Stugats.
How familiar were you at the time with Chewbacca? Like how your upbringing had how much Chewbacca in it?
This is the
Show
with the
And he was talking about Billy Cream Sweet.
Hello, Ron.
Hello, Mike. How are you? I'm well. Happy New Year to everybody.
Happy New Year, Ron. Big week next Tuesday. Big day.
I know.
We had to make some tough decisions. I hope you're okay with it. Did you see who we're bringing back?
No.
we decided to bring back.
Oh, you really serious right now?
Bueno. Of course, this means Manny and Carballo. We're not closing the door on them, but it may look like their time as Cyclones.
Manny, we're closing the door.
It's over.
Oh, man. Carballo, he was tough, man. He was aggressive. I like Carballo.
He's a Cyclone lifer no matter what. But
I said to him in my heartfelt text to him after, he's my favorite player to watch in the entire league.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He's just aggressive. He's got that kick-ass.
And as I told him, that will not change.
Billy, can you tell me how you experience these guys talking about now the Cyclones? They are no longer the Cesta Cyclones.
Cyclones.
There are many things that infuriate our audience. I am responsible for most of them, but the Cyclones talk. Billy, how do you feel about it when Chris and Mike and now McGill, when it's an exciting sport, it's a fun sport, and they own this
World's
team.
fastest game day.
They own this team. I don't know. Pitbull is now in the league. That is official.
Yeah, he's entering the league this year. Expansion team.
Really?
The Fireballs.
So you guys got in. You guys got in, of course. The name is better than yours. The last time I saw you guys, McGill lost $50,000 for his substantive endowment.
I didn't lose $50,000, okay? I gained actually close to $4,000 because that's what they won for me, and that's something I would not have had at all without the Cyclones. So
okay, but you lost $46,000, and Udonis Haslam was on the court shirtless, and Ray Lewis was yelling and screaming that they were champions, you were not. And now you've had your transactions. During the holidays, you guys made deals.
Yeah, this coming Tuesday is the draft on January 9th, and we had to freeze some players on our roster, especially with an expansion team coming in. You can keep fewer players, and it's always difficult when you're a runner-up in battle court. That's the toughest spot to draft, and we had to make some tough decisions over the holidays. I had to call some players personally and explain to them why they weren't being frozen. And
look,
these are people that we're friends with, you know.
Why does it sound like shtick?
Well, I'm just saying because, I know, we're I'm just.
It's a weird dynamic because this is like a real. That's why I went out to a game.
Apologize to
Debatable.
Apologize to
I respect Mike for calling the guys he's going to drop so they don't read it on the internet first. That's a job by you.
Billy,
that's a good move by Mike.
Yeah.
Chris is here saying like, "Oh, I love this person. He's my favorite player." Really, it's like, well, you're in complete control. He could still be on the team.
Ron,
you chose to fire him.
Our priority is to win a title.
I'm not trying to act emotionally. Like, yes, Carballo's my favorite player to watch, but I'm looking at the draft available players.
We owe it to our fans to put out a championship-winning team. And we've seen what our roster looks like with Carballo as our number one front quarter, and we're going to take our chances in the draft. Look, it's not the end of the road
for Carballo. I'm sure his history
Feels
with
like
us
it.
has many more chapters.
Ron, you were trying to say something, and Billy, you're ever the anarchist, but this is upsetting to me. What's happened here? These guys genuinely care about this team and these players. They keep giving up Friday nights they do not have to go and try and resurrect the sport
That's
of
not
highlight.
true. I've been to games that this team has played at that no one has been there for. And I said, where are you guys?
This season, we went to everyone.
Because you got warned that you had to or they're going to take away your team.
We were in last place. Last season, it got a little... a couple seasons back, it got a little...
You guys, as owners...
Billy's been to more games.
You think Mark Cuban shows up if they're in last place?
Oh, how about that one, by the way? Very quietly during the holidays, Mark Cuban out of the side of his mouth, yeah, I don't have full control anymore.
That's the way you have to say it.
I don't have final veto power. That whole thing was, never mind.
No one in this league.
These guys, that's a serious game. This is not like, WWF or stupid slam night on Friday night.
Whoa.
Slam night.
What's wrong with slam night?
Whatever they call that Friday night, where there people are throwing chairs at each other and stuff like that.
Hell yeah.
I mean, those guys are athletes, but that stuff's not real. This highlight is real. I mean, you go and watch that stuff. You see how fast that ball is. I tried to throw a thing with a cesta once. I almost got neutered.
I think it's pretty irrefutable.
No, it's hard. It's hard to throw.
I think it's pretty irrefutable that this ownership cares more than everybody else. Okay, and if you want to hold one maybe struggling spring season against us, fine. You go ahead and do that. But the fact is, no one is more engaged.
The lifestyle Miami guy loves that team.
He does. But I'm willing to sack our passion for this great sport of highlight up against anybody else's.
He can care all he wants and keep drafting spinner. He ain't going nowhere.
You guys got dragged by one player in the front court. What was his name? You got dragged. Is he the best player in the world? Yes, he dragged all of you. Who got him? You don't have him now?
They got to keep him.
Yeah, they keep him.
I don't understand how this works. You get to choose to keep your best
you should
player.
comment on it
only
since you
get
don't
the
understand.
bad ones.
Hasn't stopped you from opening your trap.
And
not. I don't know how it works either.
We couldn't know more. I could bore you with it. I could go into specific.
You have to.
That's probably true.
But couldn't drop your favorite player to watch?
Because it's for the betterment of the team.
Why did you trade this Manu guy that you guys love so much and you guys keep losing the championship?
Pear-shaped Manu.
Manu's one of the best backcourters in the world.
Okay, but you get him and then you trade him for 2 assets.
You can't.
There's no trade.
Why can't you trade? You can't trade?
You're embarrassing yourself.
I'm not embarrassing myself.
You are.
This
You're
league's a
embarrassing
joke.
yourself.
I said it.
You're
Scott
embarrassing.
Savin is tackling this right now.
Trade the players. Trade should be allowed.
Manu is a great player. He's a great player, but he's a great doubles player. I wouldn't. In singles, I think Manu may have reached his peak.
Now Ron's showing his ass. Doubles is what wins you championships.
Wait a minute.
Exactly.
There's no.
And I'm in the zone. Let's fucking go.
All right, you guys.
Pardon my language,
YouTube.
YouTube. I'm working on that, cursing someone.
I need you to back off on Manu. I need your rabid rage to settle down because you lost $46,000 the last time that this was.
He lost out on.
Lost out on.
Every one of those guys, after we came in second, they came up to me and said they were sorry. I said, you guys are going to be sorry about, man. You guys made it to the final.
I don't like what Billy's done. What Billy and Dan do every time we talk highlights, because maybe I haven't even seen the feedback that says we don't like you guys talking about highlight. I've never seen that criticism.
Dan said that, not me.
Ever. I think that's the biggest straw man.
Mike,
but you guys don't have to trivialize.
This is what I would tell you.
It's a device that Dan uses to get you to stop talking.
You guys are trivializing something that is deeply important to us.
Okay,
I won $80 at highlights, though.
Oh, really?
What is deeply important to me is personally, with the hot breath of nachos that I could smell, people have told me to my face, can you get them to stop talking about the Cyclones?
Who? Name names. Greg died for that team.
Mike Schur is one of them.
Oh, what does he know? Exactly. Please.
Oh, wait.
What has he done since Parks and Rec?
Mike makes some major donations to my endowment. I got to say that. Mike is really generous.
Bought and paid for? Ron McGill, what is this?
I'm just saying, he's really generous to the endowment every year.
He gives
Even
up.
though he cuts down Dan every time he makes the donation. He really says bad things about Dan.
Tax break.
You don't know what it's like.
No, but what he does when he makes the donations, he accuses both
Let's go!
and crimes so that there's a paper trail.
You know that's what it's like to get a text from your co-owner partner at 2:30 a.m. of some grainy footage from the Basque country because 6 new players from France have entered the draft pool. You don't know what that's like. You weren't with me when I was in Athens at 4 a.m. FaceTiming with future Cyclones at the draft. You don't know what this is like.
I've watched so much YouTube of Lopez playing backcourt.
Oh, he's good.
Z with a Z.
You guys are trying to keep the sport alive. It's not being played anywhere else in America right now.
It's thriving, and Battle Court is unlike any other sport. That's why you have the likes of Pitbull coming. He's a Pitbull. This guy, his name just drips with success.
Also, Masvidal gone.
Where do you guys pick in the draft? Is there a consensus number one? Where
A second touchdown. And
second to last.
again, another. Now Deontay Hardy has 2 touchdowns.
Legislates parity.
But you also can, like, the teams can keep first-round picks. So who are you even picking?
Manu's our first-round pick.
First-round freeze.
So when is your first-round pick?
The second round.
Second round when it sneaks back.
First-round pick is in the second.
Like Manu, like we don't need that.
No, I need Manu, but I need him as a doubles player.
45, 51,
Yeah,
38,
right
43,
now.
50.
He doesn't even know this. Manu, new team captain.
Wow. The seed.
You know, nobody screams Manu more than me when I'm up in those stands. I'm up there, you hear me, Manu!
What is the animal in the animal kingdom that makes that sound or something most comparable to that sound?
It's Christmas.
Maybe like a cow? Mau.
I don't know. No, I don't know what it would be.
Maybe a cow?
Come on, Dan.
Animal expert.
Let's see who does the best cow.
That's a pretty good one.
Roy.
That was not
That was
me.
me.
Where went
That's a fun.
It was my game, so I was like,
not a fine.
We all sound the same, Dan.
Chris Cody is a fake Manu.
not doing that?
Yeah.
Really? That's only private on racism. Yeah, okay.
He does call us boss.
Wait a minute.
Boss, you have to keep cut boy.
No, look, you're the minority.
Okay, the good player.
In
Good
that
player for
in that area of the country, that is more the language of whatever you guys are speaking.
We have to have Manu for the backcourt.
I walked out of a gas station near there the other day and told my wife, there is no one who's ever spoken English who's been in that place. No one.
Referees should be full time.
Back in the
I
history
don't know why
of
the
that
NFL has
gas
part-time
station's been
referees.
there for 40 years.
It pisses me off because then they can really be trained on how to understand.
Ron, I didn't have any time to get to our videos. I didn't have any time to all right.
Fun. This was good.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't good.
Yeah.
It is. It's important. It really is.
How is it important?
Because those guys, they're playing with their hearts out for the endowment, you know, and it makes me feel really special when you got athletes of their caliber saying, you know what,
Yes.
I do this for the endowment. You know, I really tip my hat to Chris and to Mike. I mean, they're incredible owners. Those guys, when you see them up there, they're into it. You know, I feel like you got somebody who cares. It's not like, you know, some of the owners that we've had on our professional teams here in South Florida.
Yeah. Whoa.
We've been criticized for caring too much.
The Pride of a Lion is a best-selling book because of this audience. Before we get out of here,
No one's criticized.
Yeah, Greg Cody out due to illness.
Our approach to these games are very controversial. I mean, we're doing Chancellor and serves.
Oh, that's bad form. Right, Ron?
I don't know. Listen, I was there. When I saw the whole UM women's basketball team there, you know how that was fantastic to see Coach Meyer there. And, you know, they're going to bring
Yes.
take them around on the Zoom, man. You made great connections, great people there. Listen, this is huge. And every time I'm there, I think we got more people than the other team are playing.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. This segment was ruined by you guys.
Cyclones. No longer
Cyclones.
Cyclones.
Not Cessna Cyclones anymore. Change their name.
Cyclones. You've never seen it. Miss that house, and come straight for you.
Good player.
Manu.
That's bad, baby.
Manu.
Manu.
Don Lebatard.
Let's go to 80.
Bo.
Wow. I think Billy typed an 8 instead of a B. Fine.
It's as clear as day.
All right, $2.
Stugats.
Number 80. Go ahead. It's Chris Corner on the line. CC, go ahead.
This is the Don Lebatard show with the Stugats.
For the front foot. Super play with Lopez.
Thank you, boss.
To appreciate it, you have to talk to him. Know what he sounds like, but it's an impression.
From both of you, you both do excellent Manus.
You've had limited interactions with Manus,
Yes,
but
I love that he is shaped like me.
he's not.
He's in better shape.
Come on, he's
Stop that.
much better shape than you.
He's
Wow.
an athlete.
That's not true.
Impeccable posture too.
I don't believe Manu is in better shape than I am.
Just be careful. That's our captain.
Okay.
I saw a video of him sprinting in some stupid online thing that
I would race him, and
he would beat you.
I feel like I would win.
Damn, he would not.
Set it up, please.
I would. Okay.
Okay, let's do an athletic.
Six
That's
picks,
your
not
that's your
fun.
territory, and then you have to go in the on the court and play him.
That's the stuff. Look, man.
Everyone knows your realm is sprinting.
You do look kind
Now
of
you got to play a road game.
That one sprinting.
I
that we
would
always
I will tell you that if you want to have if you want to form a decathlon of your choosing between me, Stugotz, and Manu, for whatever.
Why am I doing it against Manu?
I'm going to do both of them. I don't want to do two decathlons. If
Right.
we're going to do an athletic competition, I am here for the three of us going against
Camaro's
your
still the one in the zone.
your team and see who is a better
I have to go over his contract. If he gets hurt doing this, if he gets hurt embarrassing you and our season's lost, we only have ourselves to blame.
But Mike is right. If Dan gets you on the track, it's over. I mean,
that's why we got to do shuttle drills.
Momentum. I don't know. Also, I do think that some of the activities should be look up something on the internet. Like it should be me or Stugotz find Paramount Plus.
And you think you'll do that faster than Manu? Deposit a check on your phone.
Yeah, something else.
What?
Well, this is what Stugotz was saying. Let me get to this because I think Stugotz is right about this. I think in all the analysis that we do of all things football, why is no one analyzing anything that happened in the craziness of the last few days, including Milroe not using the right part of the RPO, or was that a terrible call by Saban going straight into the teeth of what Michigan does best, or did somebody screw something up? I believe Stugotz might be right when he says, this time of year, holidays, we're all a little lackluster. You just sprinted through Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's like it's crazy time, family drama, a lot of people around you don't want around. Headaches, death, division.
You're getting older.
You're getting older. When he says, you know what happened to football the last 10 days? Just the holidays. Where there's a referee out there who's got perspective about life, and he's like, who checked in? I don't know, 68, 70. Who gives a blink? Like, I'm busy. Yeah, one of you checked in. I don't know. I threw the flag. I'm tired. My in-laws were in the house for 2 days. The kids don't listen to me anymore.
Too many voices.
Stadium's loud.
Just that the holidays happen to football.
I just don't hear things anymore. I don't know if it happens after you have a kid, but my wife swears to me. She says, I told you to throw that away.
What the fuck?
Now, imagine you're a referee. You're trying to spot the ball. You're trying to get home for the holidays. You got the in-laws in town. You've called, you've done 19 games in the last month alone. And then you got 9 offensive linemen and trying to check in at the same time.
And you got that law firm you run on the side because the referees in the multi-billion-dollar sport have second jobs.
I know the answer from Stugotz, but are you having difficulty with your hearing? We've been doing this. This is our upcoming 20th year, right?
Mm-hmm.
20 years ago in the fall, you would have uttered Chidi Ahanatu in a microphone for the very first time. My ears have taken a beating.
But headsets for 20 years must do that, correct?
Yeah, most people, I swear to God, I don't hear the first. Anytime I'm in a group, someone tries to talk to me, it's always Finnegan.
Okay, but you're now saying that as you chase a child around and the holidays happen, and you got an upside-down U thrown in your face by Rutgers this weekend.
That was a road game.
As you chase sports around.
We had a lot of healthy players.
Rutgers gave you the upside-down U. You're chasing your daughter through the holidays. You can't hear things. That's one daughter. Billy's got 2, and God bless football.
Yeah, I don't know how he doesn't.
Look at him. Not well. He's already been defeated by 2024.
Ready for a break.
It has informed, anything I do going forward. It's just, I'm taking all of this as data. Like, Billy and how he navigates it is important data points for me.
Billy has been a slalom course of, I don't even know how he has done.
Is that good or bad?
I don't know how you survived the last 18 months of your life. But again, I want to just go back. Is it not possible that, I know a lot of people are watching Dallas, Detroit, and it is pretty stupid what I'm saying to you, that these things are decided by inches when I'm talking about 50 years of Lions history, and now we go to the replay. And instead of Stugotz celebrating, wow, LeBron James making a late 3 against that defense when Minnesota's good and young people want LeBron James' stuff. And he's saying Stevie Wonder could see on replay that was a 3 and it tied the game. Put it on the poll, please, at Levitard Show. Could Stevie Wonder indeed see that? because some people, Bonnie Jones chief among them, say Stevie Wonder is not actually blind.
Can he see? Should be the poll question.
There's a video of the Grammys where Beyonce was walking in front of him. Pretty damning evidence.
Put it on the poll. Can Stevie Wonder see? And see if you can get for me. I think it's one of the greatest riffs I've heard. I don't know if we have it in our library, but Bomani claiming that Stevie Wonder is not blind. But
he caught a falling mic stand. Man can see. He said, "What up, big dog?" to Shaq in an elevator once.
Bomani told the story of someone working at Best Buy, and they could swear that Stevie came in shopping for a television.
Instead of celebrating, I mean, we kind of got you to agree, right? LeBron James, all of it pretty impressive for 20 years.
Yes,
Mike is complaining about his hearing. LeBron's still having a game against the Timberwolves where he's the best player for the Lakers, and he's playing for the tie, and the Timberwolves are excellent. They're excellent at defense.
Yep, game of inches, Dan.
That we decide these things by checking in with a referee, and Stugatz is right when he says that referee may have just been looking around and saying, who checked in there? Like, was it 68, 58? I don't remember. 70. What happened? I'm tired at the end of a long work day, week, long work year.
As you and I age, as we get older, we're in our 50s, we can relate to what that referee potentially was going
Wow.
through. Just too many.
I didn't even know how I got the user animation, but I was...
And I had a death in the family, and life has happened. You remember when Brady said, hey, I'm 45, shit happens. I'm older than that. This is a second job for me. The people here are crazy, and I run a law firm. Like, the people here are nuts how they care
Got my X Factor back.
Spot the ball correctly.
Somebody checked in. I have no idea.
Have you seen the size of Lane Thomas? I couldn't see what was happening because look at the size of his ass.
Lane Johnson?
Yes.
Fine.
Sorry. That is a fine. Who'd I call him? Lane Thompson?
Lane Thomas. You know what the official...
Logan Thomas.
The official that totally skated because we missed an entire hot take sports cycle. The referee that tripped Lamar Jackson in the end zone, forcing a safety.
Best tackle of Lamar Jackson in the backfield this season. He's hard to tackle. I can't believe that guy's more of an athlete than everybody who's an athlete.
That game was something. That Monday Night Football game, because it also became the Rashad Mendenhall Bowl, where we essentially made it for, by the way, Michigan forced game 3 against Alabama. So you decide where game 3 of the race war takes place. But the Baltimore Ravens won race war, Rashad Mendenhall Derby, game 1. That game was so great because of what Lamar Jackson was doing, and so confusing because of what happened to Brock Purdy there. Brock Purdy gets benched for Sam Darnold, and you see a seismic shift in MVP odds. That game was essentially for the MVP. That was NFL history on the line.
Can we please talk for a moment, Stugatz? Because I have gotten away from race talk, because everybody's doing it. I haven't done doing it. But can we talk about the reference that Mike is making here when, you know, you just saw Colorado become a black team, a representative in college football, minor league professional football. You saw them become a symbol for black excellence. The Baltimore Ravens, when he mentions Mendenhall, and Mendenhall says, can we get all of these Orlovskis off television telling me, as the white person's perspective, how football works, get me some black people out here like Tomlin's staff. This is happening in the sport. Sports
7 for 7
in 2024. Like, the Ravens are a black team, and they're telling you after they injure Burrow, yeah, we do that. You're going to get hurt playing against us. And we're going to go to San Francisco. They've been fighting everybody. They got Trent Williams. And we're going to drag them because we're more physical up front than anybody, than anybody in the sport. And we got a guy behind us here. It's pretty black in every way. Black excellence. MVP of the league. And before the season, nah, we don't want him. Atlanta, Carolina. Look at Carolina's problem. That's a black team. And they're black excellence. And the Bosas of the world, who, by the way, when you like read about the politics in some of the locker rooms, you wonder how any of these people can get along and survive in that workplace. It's a tribute to sports, actually, Stugatz, that you would have MAGA in your locker room or playing opposite you. And some of the stuff that we argued about when it was Mason Rudolph and Myles Garrett 5 years ago, I don't know how that stuff coexists in a locker room. That stuff seems super awkward to me. As Mendenhall says, the black guys are the ones who should be explaining football to you on television, not the mediocre white guys who get the analyst jobs because we prefer that the broadcasting bridge be coded in quarterbacks who have usually always been white.
Is this your way of asking me, can we discuss this? Because I'd rather not. Like, you never let me answer. You answer the question. I'd rather not discuss it. Thank you.
Stugatz was just telling me during the break that in Vegas he wants to cannonball into a pool when this happens at Viva Las Vegas. What are you shaking your head about,
It's
Billy?
42 degrees.
The Super Bowl is going to be a mess.
Oh my God, I'm so scared of all of it.
Why'd you sign up?
I don't know. I don't know. You guys needed a morale lift.
2024 fun.
Dan, I read a theory that I think Tony will like. About
Damn
the
it!
referee
The
that official
Bucks
that
won,
traveled
so
on
now I have
Jackson,
to win.
That he might be a time traveler. Yeah.
Go on.
That the reason is because the 49ers have this weird pattern where every game that they lost, they had scored 17 points, and every time that a quarterback or a team beat them and they scored 17 points, that quarterback got injured, the opposing quarterback. So the theory was that maybe this official was a time traveler who was coming back to cost the Ravens 2 points, give it to the 49ers to prevent them because they ended up with 19 points and save Lamar Jackson's health.
The Mendenhall conversation is a better one.
I said I'd rather not.
I know, so I'm going to throw it to the group because Mike Ryan just casually mentioned, hey, there's some race wars going on in football. We're going to talk about it?
I also mentioned that the series was tied 1-1 last night.
You're passing on time travel?
Do you have anything else to offer to the conversation? Because I would have liked your help on the previous one. I understand that you want to do Time Traveler, but we sat out Mendenhall.
If you want to watch our show devolve in person, you can come out to the Stadium Swim at the Circa Hotel, February 8th and 9th. The shows begin at 10 a.m. local time. Reserve your tickets now at www.circalasvegas.com/stadium-swim/Dan-Levitard-show.
Come on, that's a lot. That's too much. Say it again, slowly.
circalasvegas.com/stadium-swim/Dan/ Wait, no, damn. All right. circalasvegas.com/stadium-swim/Dan-Levitard-show.
You're listening to
Mm.
DraftKings Network.
This is effectively a playoff game, so I gotta.
This is the Dan Levitard Show with the Stugatz Podcast.
Probably should have went without the dashes.
Yeah.
Right on the Levitard show.
Yeah.
Just
You gotta
one
separate
word.
That site's not working.
No, maybe I got the
No,
wrong.
I missed an M.
Okay. All right. Let's try it again. You know what? I don't know.
Is it Stadium Dash?
It's Stadium Dash Swim.
Is that the first dash?
And then
That
top
after
right
the slash, Stadium Dash Swim.
Okay.
Then slash.
I have made a terrible mistake. Billy, what are we...
Oh, it worked. No.
Dash Levitard.
Billy,
Dan Levitard.
what are we headed toward in
Dash show.
I don't know.
I see everyone scrambling.
It worked for me.
Bouncing into each other.
I'm in.
Yeah, and you can be in too. All you got to do is
I
just
got a
navigate this.
404 page here.
RSVP right now. You put your first name,
I'm
your
not
last
going
name,
for the whole
your
trip.
email.
I'm not going
What?
for the whole trip.
What do you mean?
I'm not going to.
What are you talking about?
I can't do this. I'm
Guys, that's
scared
okay.
of it.
Guys, that's okay.
I'm going to do like half the trip.
What?
I can't do this.
Showing
I
up on
can't do this
Wednesday?
amount
I
of
mean-
stress. I'm not going to do this amount of stress.
Hmm.
We need to be more organized in this. With the whole show, you know how hard this is
I'm
to move this
alleging
entire
Photoshop
show?
in this group shot here. Lucy was not there for that photo shoot.
I can't wait for Lucy to get back to God. She
How did they get Jessica's arm around her?
that was poorly photoshopped. All of that.
Well, that picture was from the Dolphins watch party, and then they just cropped both of them in it.
So, but they got the arm around.
Jeremy's head is just floating.
No,
there.
because Jessica is dressed like she was for the photo shoot, so that's actually Jessica from the photo shoot.
No, but there are some poor photoshops, and Stugatz's hand has been like a wandering meat hand that looks like it's out of one of those Addams Family movies. It looks like a grotesque hand that's got an identity of its own, and I'm surprised it's not
Looks like
around
King
everyone's
Charles's
pockets.
Right.
Yes.
So this is labeled moss. Are we going to do some moss type stuff?
Those details are being worked out.
Okay.
And again, I want to get there later and later because I'm worried about everything that's happening.
I'm really excited for this.
We announced it before we had the details.
That is correct.
That's rare.
And now our website is a little wordy. Our link is a little wordy.
It's very easy. circalasvegas.com/stadium-swim/Dan-Levitard-show.
Anyways, this is going to be exciting and terrifying because I am already scared of everything happening.
600
Just
yards.
everything that can go wrong. But if you want to support our show in the variety of ways that it needs support, you can subscribe to our YouTube page, which is simply a / and an @Levitard show. It's not that complicated.
It took you some time,
YouTube.com.
I have 4 dashes, 3 slashes.
/ @Levitard show. If you want to support what we're doing, I am planning at present the ability to watch Sunday's game together with some YouTube exclusive content where we just watch the biggest game in Dolphin history, or the biggest game in 25 years for the Dolphins is going to be Sunday night. And so I want to get some people over there supporting that. But I also want to get some of you out to Vegas with us. We're not giving you a lot of time. Usually the Moss events get planned with a lot more time than this, but we've been running on a treadmill for 2 straight years. And somehow the Super Bowl always sneaks up on us.
Yeah,
Don't know how that's
I
possible.
I would say that this is plenty of lead time for an event like this. You're just going to have to decide if you want to come out to the Super Bowl not knowing the teams that are involved. And that's certainly going to make it a lot easier. Oh, man, if it's the Miami Dolphins, we don't got to worry about this at all. But I don't know if you've seen the commercial for the Super Bowl with Chad Ochocinco. It's actually shot at the Circus Swim. I've been at the Circus Swim. I was there for the Dolphins-Bills playoff game last year. It's electric. Doesn't matter what point in the seasons we are in. Doesn't matter if it's 40 degrees outside. That is an electric place with one of the best views in all of Las Vegas, and I cannot wait to be there. It's off the strip, and our show is off the strip energy. There's ever
I was hoping it would be downtown dirty Vegas, because this is high end.
Right next to Fremont Street, baby.
I know, but
right next to where Cyrus the Virus got decapitated.
Yeah, that's where the dirty stuff is. I was hoping.
How did Cyrus the Virus get flown off of the ladder on Fremont Street, and then he landed on a pile driver? I've been there. There isn't a waste yard right next to Fremont Street.
That's the part of Con Air that struck you as hard to believe?
Yeah, he got flung on directly to a conveyor belt. Like, what are the odds?
I saw Connor for the first time like 6 months ago.
Right. He called it Connor.
Con Air.
Connor McDavid.
Con Air. Sorry, guys. I'm Cuban. I have an accent. Sorry.
It's Con-Air. Connor Bedard.
Con Air.
Tony, didn't you feel like their whole Manu thing was kind of racist?
I didn't know he was French.
Basque country. Yeah.
That's kind of in the middle, though.
It's where you combined Spain and France, kind of like Floribama.
I thought it was Cuban.
You felt, but it felt a bit racist.
It's a good movie.
I have something. I can't believe it's taken me this long, and I'm sorry that I've waited this long into the show to do it, because it's an egregious judgment error on my part, but we had to get to Colts playoff scenarios and assess the Cyclones. They're now Cyclones. Yeah, just Cyclones now. I believe, and this is hard to do, Nick Wright has explained to you, Stugotz, because we're watching the evolution of the take throughout sports television, and Tony and Mike are still on television doing it, and Skip and Stephen A. still doing it. And now Shannon Sharp runs into the space because he's doing cool shit with Ochocinco. But it is hard right now to have a take that no one else has. Stugotz is finding it harder and harder these days in the sports realm to get to the trough and be the first one there with a take that no one else has. But he has come in here today after 8 days off, and he is doing his finest work right now. He was crafting. The daughters disrespected him, so he had time to work and to think and to craft a take. So I would like this television camera in here to get as close to Stugotz's face as possible, and I want you to get in here because I believe this could be a viral moment for the show where Stugotz is giving a take that no one else is giving. Everyone's talking about football. Everyone's had days to talk about football. And Stugotz is willing to make a bold proclamation here that none of the other people at the Super Bowl would be willing to make. Not Dan Patrick, not Rich Eisen,
there you go.
Not the gatekeepers, not the Kyle Brandt, not anybody. Nobody is saying what Stugotz has come in here to say today. So everyone out of the way, please. And I'm sorry, Stugotz, genuinely.
It's okay.
That it's taken me this long to get to the take. God bless football didn't have this. This is exclusive to our show. Everyone back off and give him a lot of room here because this is a master craft. This is a work of the highest order. He's a sculptor. Everyone out of the way.
Dan, this time of year, everyone talks about teams they don't want to see come playoff time. I want to talk about a team that I actually want to see come playoff time. I want to see the Chiefs. I want Patrick Mahomes strolling into my stadium with max confidence. I want Travis Kelce. I want Taylor Swift. I want the team that lost to Jordan Love. I want the team that lost to Aiden O'Connell.
I think they're going to compete the percentage.
That trailed 17-0 to Jake Brown. That is the team that I would like to face in the playoffs. That's the team, indeed, that I would want to face in the playoffs because that team is not very good. I have been saying for years there is something off in Kansas City. Last year, that take didn't go so well for me. They won the Super Bowl. This year, it's going very, very well. They are 10-6. They're down. The offense is not what it used to be. The defense doesn't travel well. They're good at home, not great on the road. If I'm a playoff team, I don't want Flacco. I don't want Mike Tomlin. I don't want any of those teams. The teams that I want strolling into my stadium, Kansas City Chiefs.
Shocking.
I do.
Simply shocking.
I'm being serious.
I know. We all saw that you were being serious.
I mean, something's off there.
You have said this, and you have now said it publicly.
Yeah.
And I don't know what Nick Wright is going to do with that, because what I was starting to say is that Nick Wright has already told you that he has staked the claim on LeBron's the greatest, knowing it's a stupid corner and a wonderful corner. Just like, yes, let's just argue LeBron, Michael Jordan. That's how I'm going to stay in the take game, and I'm going to be controversial. Just stake out the position. None of these opinions matter that much. Nick Wright is on the other side of this, very publicly pro-Chiefs. They're the best team in football. Mahomes is the best player ever. We've spent many years now salivating at how wonderful the Chiefs are. And this is the most vulnerable version of them, because we see that their offense is not right. We see that they're being carried by defense. We see them against the Bengals at home in a game that they had to have, get down 17-13 at the half, and then the defense bails them out. The Chiefs, led by defense and Mahomes,
Bengals clinch their division.
the entire
Steelers
sport
eliminated.
changes around the quarterback position very quickly.
Texans clinch their division. 12 straight wins.
Cutthroat is fascinating to me, where Lamar Jackson can make
Jets clinch
himself
their
more
division.
valuable than Patrick Mahomes.
Dolphins eliminated.
I mean, but it can happen quickly. These
Chiefs
teams are all
clinch their
fighting for the
division.
same things. They're all
Everybody
fighting
else
in the same
eliminated.
margins. It's a salary cap sports.
Packers
Most
clinch the
things are
NFC
equal.
North.
The schedule can
Vikings
alter whether you're
eliminated.
10-6 or 12-4.
Saints clinch the division.
You have a few fumbles.
And the number one seed with the win. And the Bucks are stuck as the wild card. Yes. Back-to-back division champions. Let's go.
And their wide receivers are good enough. Their
Cowboys
tight end is good enough. Their skill guys are
have
good
to
enough.
play the Eagles the
When you can do
final
what
game of the
Lamar
season
Jackson
to
and Josh
determine who
Allen
wins
are
that
doing, which is,
division.
make the running back totally
So
disposable.
the
Why?
Seahawks
Because I
and the
got a
Rams.
quarterback who can score 15 touchdowns rushing.
Well, that's my point. I mean, you don't want to see Josh Allen because, as you pointed out, Josh Allen can beat
3
anyone.
seeds clinch.
You don't want to see
Numbers
you don't want
1
to see a team like the Houston Texans
top wild
because you're
card
scared
and
of
the
CJ
division
Stroud, because
champion.
in a one-game
Mahomes,
scenario,
the thing you're saying that's shocking is Mahomes has been that at the top of this league, highest paid player for the last 5 years.
he's never done it on the road in the postseason. Do it on the road in the postseason. I would rather Kansas City walk into my stadium than Cleveland. I want nothing to do with Flacco. He's won a Super Bowl. He's done it on the road.
That's shocking.
And they have a great defense. I want nothing to do with the Cleveland Browns. I want the
Tim.
You guys are stunned silent in there. You guys have nothing.
No, I think it's we're at the point of the season where you can call it successfully. We've all had the games. I think most of us in the audience were expecting it to happen again on Christmas Day against the Raiders. Surely they're going to turn it on. They have to. The Chiefs are going to do that Chiefs thing where they snag a victory out of certain defeat, and the guy just goes for 40 yards untouched. It hasn't happened this season. Just hasn't. They've been playing bad defenses lately. And Harrison Butker is kicking 6 times.
Maybe the Ravens and Bills have passed them, though. I'm not with Stugotz. I'd much rather see the Browns in the playoffs.
Really?
Oh, I know Myles Garrett, defense great.
Best defense in the league.
Bring on the
Hottest
Browns.
quarterback in the
Bring
league.
on the Browns as opposed to
Let me tell you something. They want to see you too. They certainly want to see you too.
Put it on the poll at Levitard Show. Wait a minute. There was a lot of chest in that, Mike. There was a lot of chest in that, Mike.
Oh, give me the Dolphins in December. Give me them.
Give you?
What?
Season's greetings, everybody. It is Mike Ryan here to talk to you about Miller Lite, but also here to talk to you about this festive season and how Miller time.
That's the entire.
Hasn't happened this season. Just hasn't. They've been playing bad defenses lately. And Harrison Butker is kicking 6 times.
Maybe the Ravens and Bills have passed them, though. I'm not with Stugotz. I'd much rather see the Browns in the playoffs.
Really?
Oh, I know Myles Garrett, defense great.
Best defense in the league.
Bring on the
hottest
Browns.
quarterback in the
Bring
league.
on the Browns
Let me tell you something. They want to see you too. They certainly want to see you too.
Put it on the poll at Levitard Show. Wait a minute. There was a lot of chest in that, Mike. There was a lot of chest in that, Mike.
Oh, give me the Dolphins in December. Give me. And Harrison Butker's kicking 6 times.
Maybe the Ravens and Bills have passed them, though. I'm not with Stugatz. I'd much rather see the Browns in the playoffs.
Really?
Oh, I know Myles Garrett, defense great.
Best defense in the league.
Bring on the
hottest
Browns.
quarterback in the
Bring
league.
on the Browns
Let me tell you something. They want to see you too. They certainly want to see you too.
Put it on the poll at Levitard Show. Wait a minute. There was a lot of chest in that, Mike. There was a lot of chest in that, Mike.
Oh, give me the Dolphins in December. Give me them.
Give you.
Season's greetings, everybody. It is Mike Ryan here to talk to you about Miller Lite. Wonderful is that. Take a sip, my friend. Put it with hops 3 times. 1-2 carbs per 12 ounces.
Presented by DraftKings Fantasy Sports. Check out what DraftKings has to offer this season with code DAN, because life's more fun when you're in on the action. DraftKings, crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLR. Age and eligibility restrictions apply. Void.
I'm so happy right now. I clinched not only the division, but the #1 seed in the NFC. Let's go.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugatz.
I'm first to guys to share his game notes. Knowing me what's happened better than my boy Stu. Weekend observations. About Miller Lite. Great taste. 96 calories. Available for delivery.
You smell so much like cigarette.
I just had a heater, Dan.
Do you do that?
Bad timing.
Do you do that though? Because is it bad timing, or is it the timing you always choose because it's sort of like I'm showtime. I'm ready to go. It's my pregame.
I'm not going to lie to you, Dan. I like blowing smoke out of my mouth as I re-enter the building. I do. I like flicking the cigarette. It's nice.
So it's like you it's like you entering a wild. It's the closest you will come to entering a Wild West saloon as Clint Eastwood.
Yes.
Like, I'm here. Weekend observations are coming up. I'm going to flick a cigarette and I'm going to kick the door open.
Mike's so mad at me. He put an ashtray out there for me.
Well, because it smells terrible in here. It smells like you just farted ash.
I need to stop. Dan, we were off for a week when we probably should have been on. It was only the best and busiest time on the sports calendar.
You know, he's right about that.
People were starved for content, Dan.
Yep.
We blew it.
You did God Bless Football.
I want to bench myself for this game.
Better than
Billy,
ever.
why are you shaking your head?
Because we had a whole plan, and then he didn't follow the plan, and then things don't make sense.
I mean, I asked you if you wanted to be involved, and you said, politely, you said no. I mean...
You agreed the week before, and I told all of the people that run the TV and audio side that we were going to be off, and then there were surprise episodes that caught everyone by surprise.
And
then the days I promised people episodes, you released them a week early.
Best and busiest time on the sports calendar, Billy.
What did you do to
people were starving for content.
Billy, what are you eating? What are you literally starving
Fritos, yeah.
Rush pick. Billy usually doesn't go for Fritos.
It was a panic pick. It was a panic pick.
Look, it's been a rough 2024 for Billy. He's got Stugatz in his stable.
I'm ready for 2025, yeah.
Have you seen the new Fritos commercial with Sam Elliott?
Yes.
Like, they're just making chili, looking like men. God. I bought a pair of jeans after. I didn't buy Fritos, but I bought a pair of jeans and cowboy boots.
Did anyone eat the Cheez-It, or was that not edible?
Not edible.
Pop-Tarts won the holiday season, right?
That's an observation.
Come on.
Wow.
Good. Spoiler. As you were, Stugatz.
The Pop-Tart won the bowl season.
Oh, damn.
No.
Right there.
I'm sorry. I didn't know.
Everyone else was playing for second.
I didn't know. I ruined it.
If the Bears give up on Justin Fields, he'll make them regret it. He's good. I don't know what they do with him. I know.
Pop-Tarts beat Mayo.
Yes. Mac Brown and Neil Brown in the Duke's Mayo Bowl. Look at you. You're all over my observations. A couple of Browns cutting it up. Anything else?
I don't know. Let's see how many more of them I can ruin.
Jim Harbaugh.
I was just going to say the Harbaugh brothers had a hell of a weekend.
Said Jesus would have been a 5-star. Please. 5'5", undersized. He's a walk-on at best. Walk-on water at best.
Joe Flacco.
Ohio State.
Did you skip a Flacco?
No. He's coming. Asshole.
5'5", huh?
Jesus. Undersized.
Did you know Moana's 10 feet tall?
What?
Yeah.
And
Too
Jesus
tall.
is 5'5"?
Yeah,
Yeah,
according to Google.
Jesus.
Pound for pound, though. Jesus. Right?
Moana's twice his size.
Ohio State opted out of playing offense against Missouri. Jesus. Great quarterback hair. Every team is tush pushing. You know why, Dano?
It's so dumb. It's so dumb.
The quarterback hair?
No, well, that too.
I mean, but Jesus has
No,
the
but
best of the best.
every team now getting half
You're
a
right.
yard because the
Flutie
guys
like.
in the back can push. Like, just turn it all into a giant rugby scrum. Make it even dumber than it already is.
Copycat league, Dan.
It's so great.
I can't stop thinking about Jesus entering the transfer portal.
Running a 4-3 in sandals.
Undersized, though.
Yeah, but just giant hits. Lightning and thunder.
Tommy,
big hitter.
Anything on DeVito? You got anything?
Only throws Hail Marys.
Tommy DeVito.
Yeah.
Saturn has mysterious shadows on its rings.
Stugatz has been sending me doom and apocalypse news. He has been. He's finally caught up.
This James Webb telescope. I mean, it's discovering too much. Things I don't want to know. Just leave me alone.
But if they were there the whole time and now we can just see them, what does it matter?
Stugatz wants less information. Don't you understand?
I just want to live.
He wants ignorance
Catching.
is bliss, and he's happier. That's correct. He just wants to live. Stop bothering him with discoveries.
Do you know when you're looking at a star, you're looking directly into the past? Because by the time the star's light reaches you,
right,
several million light years away, it's
Right.
probably already dead.
I want to look forward.
I like that.
Right?
Sure.
I don't care whatever happened, happened. I mean,
We can't technically look forward into space, though.
Thank you.
Thank you?
I don't know.
Yeah, because you're looking back in time.
Thank you.
Time travel.
Boom. Full circle.
It's not a full circle.
Stugatz, you're dumb.
It's not been a full circle. Sorry.
There's 4 minutes left. I got 97 observations to go.
All right, let's bang through them.
Where was it?
Joe Flacco.
The committee on a Zoom call laughing at Florida State. That's what I imagined. Saturn also has more rings than Kevin Durant and Chris Paul combined.
That's not funny. Come on.
It is. It's still funny.
No.
Kyron Williams is the best player nobody is talking about.
He's really good.
Yeah.
He changes their whole
You want to have a fun game? Google Western Conference NBA standings.
Why?
It'll blow your mind.
Why?
It'll blow your mind.
If the season ended today?
I've been paying attention to the ISD and not really to the
Okay.
NBA day in, day out. The Western Conference standings are upside down.
Dan, you don't want to play the Rams right now. You know why?
They're good.
Getting hot at the right time. Close. Yeah.
I want to do full no huddle this
Roy,
game.
that brought a little bit of the holidays for Roy. Got a little warmth in his heart there.
Yeah, we're back.
Florida State with a rare one-loss season with a lone loss being by 60 points.
Yeah, it doesn't happen a lot.
Kirk Herbstreit, we get it. You have a cute dog and you fly around the country on private jets. Enough.
A smile washing over my face watching people Google the Western Conference.
It's wild. Jake Gilgeous-Alexander.
It's great.
Sir.
Yes, they're good.
Yes, OKC is the number 2 seed right now with the NBA playoffs for it to be.
Felt big, but wasn't. The Eagles were asking to be upset by the Cardinals. And you know what they got, Dan? They got what they asked for.
They did.
You leave the back door open for Tyrod Taylor, and you deserve what happens next.
Well, they won.
Back door cover.
I have to punt.
But the Rams
I hate
should
punting,
have lost that game.
but I have to.
Dayball is skating. He is skating out. He handled the end of that game so poorly. Nobody cares because it's Giants Rams.
Tyrod Taylor.
Deontay Wilder lost this weekend and nobody even knows it. There was just too much happening.
Rude.
Sorry.
Tyrod Taylor lives one snap away. Jim Harbaugh has never looked happier than he did when posing for a picture next to Mickey Mouse. Did you see that? The happiest I've ever seen him.
Love that Mickey Mouse is now available to all of us. Mickey Mouse is now the rights of the people.
Just Steamboat Willie Mickey.
Right.
It's almost Dan, like if you're looking into the past, you have the Mickey of the past, and you're seeing it now for the first time.
We own him now, though. It's nice to own that piece of Disney.
All of us do.
Well,
Yes,
we all do.
All of us do. That's right.
Florida State, Georgia. I already said this one. Betting bowl games. Dangerous game.
Georgia, by the way, would be favored against everybody. Georgia, I want to make Georgia the national champion just based on, we know they're better than everybody. We know they lost to Alabama. They'd be favored against everybody.
And FSU's the one we all thought should be it.
If you have mail to send to Tyrod Taylor, just send it to One Snap Away Drive. I assure you, that's exactly where he'll be. He's laughing at.
And just how ridiculous that is.
Brian Ferentz.
Let's imagine mailing something to One Snap Away Drive.
It's a great address, is it not? One Snap Away
They
Drive.
all live there. C.J. Beathard lives there. They all.
he had a good game.
All of them live there.
All of the backup quarterbacks. The big boy.
Robbed the Brissett, by the way.
We were.
Mm-hmm. DeVito's. Sounds like a great place where I can grab a slice, a couple of garlic knots, a fountain Coke, and a chicken parm roll. Yeah. Top 5 last names in sports. That sound like a great place to get a slice, a couple of garlic knots, a fountain Coke,
this is good,
and a chicken parm roll.
So Italian last name.
OLI. Al Del Greco. Del Greco's Pizza.
Go on. Let's go.
You really cut through it there, Chris. You really sabotaged the joke. Yes, Italian names.
Sal Licata.
Who?
Licata's Pizzeria.
Yeah.
Eric Mangini.
All excellent. These are all OLIs.
Greg Giannotti.
Yeah, here we go.
A couple of WFAN hosts. How about that? Steve Balboni.
Are we in the top 5?
Imagine Balboni's Pizza.
Are these just OLIs?
Number 5.
Was Balboni Italian? Can you look that up for me,
No
please?
idea.
Look that up for me, please. I'm not totally sure.
If it ends in an I, you're good.
Number 5. Giovanni Carmazzi. Carmazzi's Pizza. Number 4. Tommy DeVito. DeVito's Pizza and Subs. Number 3. Tommy Lasorda.
Yeah, there are just Italian Americans in.
I don't know what you're talking about. Number 2, Anthony Fasano.
Yeah.
And number 1, Rod Marinelli. Marinelli's Pizza. Here come the Oilers. Where was I? Run out of time. Brock Purdy, do it against the Ravens. Washington, do it against Alabama. Michigan, do it against Georgia.
Wait a minute.
What happened there? I have no idea.
Wait a minute.
How'd that get in there?
Washington do it against Alabama. Wait.
They haven't.
Put it on the poll, Juju. Will Washington have failed by merely beating Michigan instead of Alabama? Hey, do it against Alabama.
You don't hire Don Yee unless you mean business. You know that guy?
I mean, yeah, he's Tom Brady's agent and now Jim Harbaugh's guy.
He means business.
Yes, he means business. Yes, thank you, Stuttgart.
Put a hot seat around Mike McCarthy, and he'll find it and sit on it every time. Is Meadowlark Media really making a big deal about a guy who has worked in sports his entire life, attending the biggest sporting event of the year? How we doing? Speaking of hell, Art Briles. Dan, those are the weekend observations.
Don Lebitard. A recreation of the iconic scene in A Few Good Men, as told by Chris Cody.
Colonel Jessup, did you order the code red? I want to answer the question. Answer the question. You want answers? You want answers? Oh, true. You can't do the truth. I'm okay with losing this game because we already clinched the #1 seed, so this game doesn't matter. I'm just happy that we went to we were in the playoffs, but
surprised that you didn't go with Benito Negro there.
No.
You know what? There are certain places.
No one Choku's Pizzeria. It was weird.
Pizzeria and Italian restaurant are two very different things.
Yeah. Yes.
So, like, I was thinking about Joe DiMaggio, but DiMaggio's is a great
Sit
name
down.
for an
Sit
Italian
down,
restaurant.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
You are right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's a science to it.
I didn't have my headsets on. I felt very old just going,
Yes, you and my father. Yes. Old people sounds. Stugatz is aging at what I would say it's an alarming rate. It's the drugs.
Rhea.
I'm surprised that you didn't go with Vinny Del Negro there.
Nah, no.
You know what? There are certain places.
No Njoku's Pizzeria.
Weird. Pizzeria and Italian restaurant are two very different.
Yeah. Yes.
So, like, I was thinking about Joe DiMaggio, but DiMaggio's is a great
Sit
name
down.
for an
Sit
Italian
down,
restaurant.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
You are right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's a science to it.
I didn't have my headsets on. I felt very old just going,
Stugatz, yes, you and my father. It's the drugs and the teenagers.
Yeah.
The cigarettes.
And the cigarettes.
Drinking and
lack of sleep.
The general bad behavior, bad hygiene, bad at taking care of himself stuff.
Fair.
You got the ab roller though.
I did, yes.
It's 2024.
Body by Jay. Yeah.
Get for me, please. We were just talking about people of a certain age, and Stugatz has wanted, you may have noticed in his performance over the last 2 years, to lean into the aging, to just mail it in at the back end because you're tired and you've been doing this a long time. You and my father. Stugatz.
I held the button and it still didn't activate.
Alarming rate. It's the drugs and the teenagers.
46-yarder from here.
And the cigarettes.
Drinking and
lack of sleep.
The general bad behavior, bad hygiene, bad at taking care of himself stuff.
Fair.
You got the ab roller though.
I did, yes.
Brenson McCain, the kid.
For me, please, because we were just talking about people of a certain age, and Stugatz has wanted, you may have noticed in his performance over the last 2 years, to lean into the aging, to just mail it in at the back end because you're tired and you've been doing this a long time, and even if it's making billions, like Tepper, you want to behave the way you want to behave, because Stugatz. It's been a while. I think maybe it was Bud Adams. We know these owners behave very, very poorly.
Bud Adams.
Well, this is the reason I bring it up, because we know these billionaires. It's a funny thing about that sport, right? We pay a lot of attention to Travis Kelce, but the owners in that sport are a really funny lot. They're really well protected. Just look at some of Jerry Jones's controversies on the internet recently, and how Bob Kraft managed to get out of the whole situation in Boca, whatever the hell that was. These owners are able to behave as adolescents, but billionaires at the top of the sport. Tepper thought he was going to get to Carolina, hire Matt Rule, and everything was going to get fixed. But now he's loser guy. This guy who entered this club as a billionaire, expecting to win, expecting it'd be easier. Hey, I'll just get Stroud instead of Young. Oh, wow. That's how quickly it can happen, where the Texans are fixed and Carolina is still a laughingstock. They're the worst team in the league. They've got no chance against Jacksonville. They've got no offense. Their quarterback is the one from Alabama who can't play with what they've got around him. And he's
in his own. Let's go.
and angry. And we get rare video, not seen since Bud Adams was in a blue leisure suit and gave the double middle fingers to the crowd with the flaps on the side. Old school style, flaps on the side. You guys blur this out because this is too hot for the internet.
That was intercepted?
DraftKings, I'm sorry, whatever the rules are around here, I've got to put the side flaps on the middle fingers. Bud Adams was 90-something years old. He was wearing a light blue leisure suit, and he told everybody to bleep off. Here's the owner of the Carolina Panthers.
Damn it!
Behaving poorly. And this needs to be a bigger controversy, because the last guy, he went out and shamed quietly. Foot rubs is what he said, and then he ran out of the door with his white hair and took his took his ridiculousness with him. Here's Tepper right here in a skybox, and there he is, disgusted. You guys do what with this controversy? This is all I've got here. Owners behaving poorly. There's grainy footage. Most of the footage that comes from all Jacksonville games is grainy.
A temper tantrum.
That's a good joke.
Yeah.
It is.
It was an observation. I didn't get to it. We didn't have enough time. You were cutting me off.
You could have just acted like you did that on the
Are there
spot.
more observations
but I
here?
didn't.
But let's go to the observations that hit the cutting room floor because I keep.
I got Don Yee and I'm good. I mean,
Mike Ryan's making faces. Mike, you don't feel confident about what's remaining?
It's fine. Like, that was a good one. Temper tantrum.
Yeah.
My favorite part of this clip is the guy in the suit next to Tepper who's like terrified to like react. Because obviously most people would react like, oh, that's not good. But it's probably his boss. So he's just like, oh, awkward, just going to look straight here, going to act like I didn't see that.
I would really enjoy, Stugotz, if somebody, I don't know, Metal-Arc Media makes documentaries. Can we please get really into
no!
of these people who
Wow.
behave the way they do at the top rungs of power in that sport? Like Jim Irsay, a no-holds-barred look at really what's going on in the life of Jim Irsay.
you think Irsay wants that? Would allow that?
I don't know, but if we're going to do quarterbacks, the quarterbacks don't want it either. The quarterbacks already, Peyton Manning can't make documentaries with any quarterback. He can't get guys to do it next year. They did it with Cousins, Mariota, and Mahomes. I love what Hard Knocks is doing. What an intimate look at the Miami Dolphins. What an easy way to get to love players in uniforms because they can craft these wonderful tales because they've got this magic machine that makes everything look like something between ballet, opera, and art. And they could just imagine. Man, HBO just went off the air. I saw it when I was off this weekend, Stugotz, because Brian Gumbel said goodbye quietly to a form of sports television that dies with that show. No one's going to be able to do that for 30 years the way that show did it. High-end journalism that wasn't compromised by the money, that was not, hey, we have to, in exchange for access, do this the way football wants us to do it. No, an independent arm that did the strongest of sports stories.
Why doesn't?
At the very end, a lifelong television person, because he knows, he nailed it. Not 30. They didn't get to 30. 29 years, and everyone at HBO thanked them because of what a ridiculous run that is. They had everyone, Bill Maher, all the personalities, as if it was letting go of a family show, and Bryant Gumbel, seasoned television talent, breaking down on the last couple of sentences because he knew that they did good work, really hard work for 29 years, and no one will ever do it that well again. It really does die with them. And for some reason, they chose Aiden from Sex and the City to do one of the tributes to them and say goodbye, and he didn't deserve it. And Chris Rock mailed in his goodbye from a pier somewhere. Lazy. Chris Rock needs to do better for HBO Sports in that
He
spot.
mailed in a
You want him to fly in for that? Or?
No, just make a video that you care. Don't just give me 10 seconds of Chris Rock shitting. Try.
Sounds like you're mad you didn't get asked to do a video.
No.
Part of the family now, Dan, with Max.
I think Dan wanted it to die with him.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I would have liked for our little show to carry on the mantle of Bryant Gumbel's HBO Real Sport. But this cast of characters are not exactly Armin Katayan.
Sorry.
Did Gumbel go over how the Saints could clinch the NFC South this weekend?
Oh, boy.
Because if the Saints win, the Bucks lose or tie, or the Saints tie and the Bucks lose, Saints win the NFC South.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Are the Falcons alive?
Yeah, the Falcons are. Hold on. We went over that one. The Falcons are the easiest one.
Yeah,
Hold on.
I'm sorry. My bad.
I didn't hear it.
No, they don't.
I don't care about the momentum bar as long as I'm
Falcons
winning.
win plus Bucks loss and they win the South. Actually, you know what? That may be the page that got cut off. Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Wait,
Missing a page
That's
here.
impossible, it seems
But
like.
what about the Saints?
You're asking for a lot here.
In the interim,
What?
Well, I just went over the Saints. The Saints win plus a Bucks loss or tie.
Yeah, but you didn't mention how the Falcons play into that.
How the hell did you
Saints
fucking
win plus a
fumble?
Seahawks loss or tie plus Packers loss or tie or Saints tie plus Seahawks loss plus Packers loss. Then the Saints just are clinching a playoff berth.
Okay, so are the Saints done in the division?
No. No.
I'm
They could
sorry.
win the NFC South if the Saints win plus the Bucks loss or tie, or the Saints tie plus Bucks loss.
It's when you say tie, it's just like I just don't understand the rest.
Some of the stuff that we're doing here when it comes to football analysis is remarkably stupid. I want to get to some Kirby Smart sound here, Stugatz, because I do think it's uproariously funny that these bowl games were, more than ever, when they're trying to transition into made-for-television dollars, the professional minor league of this college football stupidity, Stugatz, has never been more wonderfully absurd than during the bowl games, where Tyler Van Dyke is in a Wisconsin uniform.
So strange.
And the portal is so absurd and ridiculous that it's walk-ons out there, and whatever your team was at Ohio State, it's not the one playing Missouri, even though Missouri is very good. It is basically maximum mercenary nonsense, and the teams don't look anything like they look during the season. You're crazy to bet on those games, but they exist only for you to bet on them. And you don't know what North Carolina is without Drake May and without everyone else who's not playing. Or, hey, look at that. USC can still score with all of their walk-ons and other guys who didn't go into the portal or transfer or decide that they weren't going to play for USC anymore.
I was watching a ball game. I can't remember which one, but the announcers were saying, yeah, this quarterback who's starting today, he's in the portal. It's like a tryout for other universities.
Yep. It's ridiculous. And watching these games, it's clear that this has been diluted, but they're never going to fix it if they keep getting the kind of numbers that they do, because that's just their business. They're going to bank on the average Joe that's tuning into that game.
I'm going to eat my last
not really
can of
knowing nor
Jeopardy in a
caring
little bit.
if it's the fourth-string quarterback starting
I
for a
really
team.
am fascinated by the business.
Oh, wow.
Because all of the gambling money is coming
Oh,
now in
wow.
full
My
force.
boy Adam Prentice with a
There are
hit
only going to be
stick.
a couple of gambling winners in this giant money space where Barstool can buy a bowl game, and all of it is obviously made for television programming that once you dispense with the amateurism and turn it all into business, sure, it'll be a Mayo commercial, it'll be a Pop-Tart commercial, and we're going to make this as dumb and crass and fun and weird as possible. Never mind about education. Look, education was propping up the scam for years, and now the injustice is tumbled, and now we all see, hey, money for everybody and no rules. And who wants to buy their way into the top 15? And you better have the coaches. And
Happy
Stugatz, the way to
birthday
make
to
up the ground
you.
between Michigan and
There you
Alabama.
go, Throckmorton.
Michigan, this is their best team ever. This is one of the worst Saban's ever had. The ground's been made up. Those teams were equal yesterday.
Yep.
If you're going to make it about money, and the coaching advantages are going to be so minimal between Saban and Harbaugh that Harbaugh could cheat his way to the title, and no one cares that it's...
Yum. Yum. Oh, oh.
season crash, and you may have a champion that couldn't be a part of half the games in a title soon to be vacated. None of it actually matters because it's just straight business, and it's straight competing over dollars. It's great fun, but it's just gambling product. It's just uniforms. Hey, you're bored at home? You need some action? We're going to throw some more bodies into the mill. They're wearing jerseys, but this is their fourth-string quarterback, and you like them plus 23.5? Do you like FSU? Do you like your chances betting an FSU game? That was a great team. Their season destroyed at the end. Ends with embarrassing punctuation, a fart into the new business of ACC football. We're laughing at you. You signed a 10-year deal that Skipper bilked you on. Skipper, you bleeped the ACC. Like, they're all
killed his Tar Heels.
He did.
You greedy monster.
I do like it from this standpoint, though, Dan. It's so much fun. Where Duke suddenly has Malik Murphy because he was the second. When does Duke have a 5-star quarterback from Texas, and now you have a Duke team that can compete for a national championship?
Now? What do you mean now? They've been good for a couple of years.
Not national championship good.
In football?
Malik Murphy, man.
You're listening to DraftKings Network.
Huh? Hmm?
You're listening to Draft
Podcast.
I don't care if I lose
a
this
national
one.
football champion for many years as a competitor to the big names in sports because he's a little, is it tryptophan? Like, what got you in order? What got you this holiday break? It's hard to come back to work. I think a lot of people struggle with the malaise and with things slowing down. Is your daughter's at the top of the list, or is it general sloth that's at the top of your list?
I would say gummies number 1, daughters number 2. That's what got me.
Gummies for what? 10 days of gummies?
Yeah, 10 days of multiple gummies. Yes.
Okay, and so you're downtrodden. You're having some difficulties getting back to work. Is this? Do you guys think this is happening all over the country today? Where because a lot of people do have to work during the last week. Not everyone gets the sloth.
Not everyone does that. Historically, our show's always been off this week as well. We've always taken 2 weeks.
It was funny me complaining to my wife about that. I was like, no, we usually have 2, I feel like. And she's like, you're complaining.
I feel like
Really?
just generally, now that we're in control of it, we're making ourselves work more than we used to when we were working with like a partner like in the ESPN. Because we always, CFP, we'll talk about the national championship.
Yeah, I mean,
Just skip that
At
one.
one point we were off today too.
Yeah, that just
To get
disappeared from the
I'm also wondering, are we going to honor Dr. King or are we not? Like, because that's coming up.
I am regardless. I'm putting my foot down.
How about
Thanks, Mike.
Columbus? I mean,
Well, that was
No, I don't
think we can.
That was like a whole thing, and it's Indigenous Peoples Day here.
Yeah.
But it was more difficult for me yesterday, the day before, when you know that this is your last day of vacation. There was a sadness in waking up yesterday. Today, I had kind of just all day yesterday got myself ready for today. So today I was fine. It was yesterday morning waking up being like, it's all over. Today is Sunday.
Can you imagine?
Held my daughter a little bit tighter.
Yesterday was also Monday.
But it was our Sunday.
Yeah.
on Monday, that felt like a Sunday.
It
He's
did.
right. Yeah.
Can you imagine, Chris Cody, as you talk about the general entitlement that is you at work? Can you imagine how your wife feels about the idea of, and now imagine a job you actually hate doing, which is 80% of the people listening to this. A job you hate going to every day. Imagine what vacation, coming off of vacation, feels like on that day.
Yeah, that must suck.
I imagine your wife doesn't even understand. So wait, you're going to dress the same way you've been dressed every day around here, around the house, in your dirty sweats and your baseball cap. And you're going to now go to work where you give sports opinions, and you're going to complain about coming off of vacation to have to go to work?
I was productive over the break. I repainted a wall. By the way, painter's tape, scam.
Wait, one wall?
What?
Well, I just had to touch up, a little touch up work. You know, the wife gave me a few things like, hey, could you do this week, this, that, and the other.
Little dab here, little
Well,
dab
marks
there.
on the wall
Right,
from
yeah.
toys.
Yeah, it was.
You got
it was in my
to get
daughter's
the
room.
Mr. Clean eraser thing.
Yeah, magic eraser.
Game changer.
But I threw down some painter's tape, the painter's tape, and I'm like, all right, let's get crazy here. The tape's there, nothing bad could happen. I whipped that tape off afterwards, paint everywhere. And I get it. Billy's gonna do, it was you made a mistake, but hey, painter's tape, be better.
Tape.
You're having trouble
it's a
with
hard
the
thing to
word
say.
tape. Well, yes, if
Painter's
you've
tape.
done nothing but eat turkey and candy and gummies for the last 10 days, it does hard. You've said painter's tape incorrectly 4 times.
I think I said it incorrectly once.
No, definitely not once.
You put an M in there.
Painter's tape.
Hell yeah. Okay.
What's that, Chris? Please go on.
Between the asshole and the balls.
There's
Yeah.
sweatpants right in the middle. Yeah.
Painter's taint is what you had.
Also called the gooch.
Put it on the poll. Is the taint also called the gooch?
It is.
Got a skin tag on mine.
What?
It's almost like you can unzip me from there.
Can we get the Kirby smart sound, please? I'd like this show to be slightly smarter than
That was
this.
Kirby dumb, what we just did.
You sure it's not your wiener?
Yes, it is. There it is.
No.
There it is.
It's in between the butthole.
There it is.
Wiener's on the front end of the balls.
Maybe
at least
two.
for me.
I mean,
It gets even less subtle.
a couple of wieners
Maybe
cutting it
he
out.
has 2.
Okay, excellent. Let's get to the Kirby smart sound.
Maybe I'm wrong here, and maybe this will be a bad soundbite. But people need to see what happened tonight, and they need to fix this. It needs to be fixed. It's very unfortunate that they, who has a good football team and a good football program, are in the position they're in. And everybody can say it's their fault and it's their own problem. All right? And
We
everybody
keep
can say
saying
that we have our
program.
guys
It's
and they didn't have their
program.
guys. I can listen to all that. But college football has got to decide what they want. And I know things are changing. And I think things are going to change next year. And you know what? There's going to still be bowl games outside of those. People got to decide what they want and what they really want to get out of it. Because it's really unfortunate for those kids on that sideline that had to play in that game that didn't have their full arsenal. And it affected the game 100%.
But he didn't have his full arsenal. Like, what are we talking about?
How many players was Georgia missing?
Oh, look at the kids nodding
Same as
along.
FSU.
27. Can you please just isolate for me the sound at the beginning of that? Because I want to point to the audience how absurdly funny all of this is. Okay?
Maybe I'm wrong here, and maybe this will be a bad soundbite. But people need to see what happened tonight, and they need to fix this.
Okay, just get the second part of that sentence and isolate it for me, because I'm telling you, it's someone that is coming out of a cornfield after having seen something horrific. And it's involved aliens, and there was something that he was not meant to
Pretty
see.
much.
His general tone,
Kirby Smart wants
Smart's
parody. He doesn't
general
like
tone
one team being
is
better
of
than
a
everybody
man
else.
who has seen
He
something
has
that was
that
not
certain
meant to
he
be
just does
seen,
not like that
Stugatz,
for
that
college
others
sports.
shouldn't have seen. It shouldn't have been seen publicly.
But he saw it.
He is embarrassed on behalf of FSU. He knows how hard it is to go undefeated in that sport. And what's amazing about this entire story is that Kirby Smart still has the best team. Kirby Smart would be favored against everybody else. Kirby Smart has lost one time in 2 years, in 3 years. He has lost one time. He, to the degree you can, kind of dominated Saban over the last couple of years and ran Dabo out of the top place. Like, ran Dabo out of there. You can no longer exist here. Go back to the ACC. We're playing big business, giant football here. And he beats FSU, one of the greatest seasons we've ever seen FSU have, and a good FSU team, injured or not injured, kind of needed their quarterback. He's important. Beat him by 60. And then says after the game in a tone that made me scared about what he had seen, delivers this way, this seriousness.
Maybe I'm wrong here, and maybe this will be a bad soundbite. But people need to see what happened tonight, and they need to fix this. It needs to be fixed.
People need to see what happened tonight.
He's so haunted.
Go back and tell people. It's like from an 80s movie about race.
He's right.
Go.
Soul Man.
People, no, not Soul Man. Maybe no.
People need to know what happened here.
Remember,
Soul Man.
remember in the Eagles game a few years ago where the gate fell and a bunch of people fell onto the field? That's what he acted like happened in that.
It is like Killers of the Flower Moon. Like, people need to know what happened here.
We can't have that happen again.
This is a tale of American history that needs to be told. This 60 burger that we threw up on FSU. He's right, by the way.
With our backups.
He's totally right. He's totally right. We all know the dilution. We work in sports, but if you're looking for foresight from the people that put together these bowl games, you're going to drive yourself crazy. They're not going to have it. The only thing that'll ever force action is a serious non-pandemic dip in ratings. It's the only thing that's going to force their hands, because as long as it rates the way that it is, you're not going to. There's plenty of solutions that make sense. I got traction for one of the things that I said. Put it at the beginning of the season. You won't have opt-outs.
Well, no, tell people this, because you did say something here that technically would help fix it. People need to start thinking about. People need to see what happened here.
People do. This is a ridiculous way to end the season for these teams.
It's so asinine.
It is. Like, move it to the spring. Or move it to the beginning of the season. I think moving it to the beginning of the season takes care of everybody. TV partners will feel great. You'll get packed stadiums. Fan bases will be excited because you have a neutral site to travel to at the beginning of games. You won't have the opt-outs. Sure, the teams are totally different from the previous season. Have you watched what's been happening? That's not the same FSU team from the previous season that we saw. So just put it at the beginning of the season.
Wait,
and
so
you'll get your TV numbers.
And you earn the bowl like
for the following year. For the following.
Which is 80% of the people listening to this. A job you hate going to every day. Imagine what coming off of vacation feels like on that day.
Yeah, that must suck.
I imagine your wife doesn't even understand. So wait, you're going to dress the same way you've been dressed every day around here, coming off of vacation to have to go to work?
I was productive over the break. I repainted a wall. By the way, painter's tape, scam.
Wait, one wall?
What?
Well, I just had to touch up, little touch-up work. You know, the wife gave me a few things like, hey, could you do this week, this, that, and the other?
Little dab here, little
marks on the wall from toys.
Yeah, it was.
You got to get the Mr. Clean eraser thing.
Yeah, magic eraser.
Game changer.
But I threw down some painter's tape, and I'm like, all right, let's get crazy here. The tape's there, nothing bad could happen. I whipped that tape off afterwards, paint everywhere. And I get it. Billy's gonna do. Oh, it's you made a mistake, but hey, painter's tape. Be better.
Tape.
Hey, who has a good football team and a good football program are in the position they're in. And everybody can say it's their fault and it's their own problem. All right? And everybody can say that we had our guys and they didn't have their guys. I can listen to all that. But college football has got to decide what they want. And I know things are changing. And I think things are going to change next year. And you know what? There's going to still be bowl games outside of those. People got to decide what they want and what they really want to get out of it. Because it's really unfortunate for those kids on that sideline that had to play in that game that didn't have their full arsenal. And it affected the game 100%.
But he didn't have his full arsenal. Like, what are we talking about?
How many players was Georgia missing?
Look at the kids nodding along.
FSU.
27. Can you guys please just isolate for me the sound at the beginning of that? Because I want to point out to the audience how absurdly funny all of this is. Okay?
Maybe I'm wrong here, and maybe this will be a bad soundbite. But people need to see what happened tonight, and they need to fix this.
Okay, just get the second part of that sentence and isolate it for me, because I'm telling you, it's someone that is coming out of a cornfield after having seen something horrific. And it's involved aliens, and there was something that he was not meant to see. His general tone, Kirby Smart's general tone here, is of a man who has seen something that was not meant to be seen, Stugotz, that others shouldn't have seen. It shouldn't have been seen publicly.
But he saw it.
He is embarrassed on behalf of FSU. He knows how hard it is to go undefeated in that sport. And what's amazing about this entire story is that Kirby Smart still has the best team. Kirby Smart would be favored against everybody else. Kirby Smart has lost one time in 2 years, in 3 years. He has lost one time. He, to the degree you can, kind of dominated Saban over the last couple of years and ran Dabo out of the top place. Like, ran Dabo out of there. You can no longer exist here. Go back to the ACC. We're playing big business, giant football here. And he beats FSU, one of the greatest seasons we've ever seen FSU have. And a good FSU team, injured or not injured, kind of needed their quarterback. He's important. Beat him by 60. And then says after the game in a tone that made me scared about what he had seen, delivers this way, this seriousness.
Maybe I'm wrong here, and maybe this will be a bad soundbite. But people need to see what happened tonight, and they need to fix this. It needs to be fixed.
People need to see what happened tonight.
He's so haunted.
Go back and tell people. It's like from an 80s movie about race.
He's right.
Go.
Soul Man.
People, no, not Soul Man. Maybe, no.
People need to know what happened here.
Remember,
Soul Man.
Remember in the Eagles game a few years ago where the gate fell and a bunch of people fell onto the field? That's what he acted like happened in that.
It is like Killers of the Flower Moon. Like, people need to know what happened here.
We can't have that happen again.
This is a tale of American history that needs to be told. This 60 burger that threw up on FSU. He's right, by the way. But
with our backups.
He's totally right. He's totally right. We all know the dilution. We work in sports, but if you're looking for foresight from the people that put together these bowl games, you're going to drive yourself crazy. They're not going to have it. The only thing that'll ever force action is a serious non-pandemic dip in ratings. It's the only thing that's going to force their hands, because as long as it rates the way that it is, you're not going to. There's plenty of solutions that make sense. I got traction for one of the things that I said. Put it at the beginning of the season. You won't have opt-outs.
No, tell people this, because you did say something here that technically would help fix it. People need to start thinking about. People need to see what happened here.
People do. This is not. This is a ridiculous way to end the season for these teams.
It's so asinine.
It is. Like, move it to the spring. Or move it to the beginning of the season. I think moving it to the beginning of the season takes care of everybody. TV partners will feel great. You'll get packed stadiums. Fan bases will be excited because you have a neutral site to travel to at the beginning of games. You won't have the opt-outs. Sure, the teams are totally different from the previous season. Have you watched what's been happening? That's not the same FSU team from the previous season that we saw. So just put it at the beginning of the season.
Wait,
and you'll get your TV numbers.
And you earn the bowl
for the following year. For the following year.
Bowl games are played at the start of the season?
Bowl games are played at the start of the season. Your finish the previous year determines what kind of bowl game you get to be in to start the season.
But why? Like, why would you
Why
do
are we
that
doing
way?
it this way?
It's a meaningless game, though.
No. Now it's a meaningless game. Bowl games with two teams going for it in a neutral site in a game that counts against your record, that'll actually make it feel like something.
Well, I mean, I think their argument would be we expanded the playoffs, so next year that will be a playoff game, so those players probably won't have opted out of that.
Even
playing for a national championship.
Even more reason, I think, to put bowl games at the start of this season because it just makes the college football playoff at the end of the year more important.
The acceleration to me symbolically has been fascinating. It wasn't but a couple of years ago we were yelling about that guy shouldn't opt out just because he's going to be a first-round pick. And that was a couple of years ago.
McCaffrey.
That guy shouldn't opt out. He should play in that game for his team. FSU needs him.
How about Bo Nix? Huh? Thank you, Bo. You played.
Thank you for doing that to Liberty.
And you covered. Yeah.
With NCAA records to play for. Totally selfless act. Thank you, Bo. Thank you, Bo.
Do it for the
We appreciate you.
Thank you, Bo.
Thank you, Bo.
Season's greetings, everybody. It is Mike Ryan here to talk to you about Miller Lite, but also here to talk to you about this festive season and how Miller time can make holiday time even better. I love this winter weather. It's a great excuse to go outside and toast some wonderful memories with some friends. Why don't you do that with an ice-cold Miller Lite in your hand? And in some parts of the country, you don't need a koozie. It just stays cold out there. How wonderful is that? Take a sip, my friends. Look around. Reflect on your year. You made a lot of good calls, and no call better than having this Miller Lite right now. A beer that is brewed for taste. You know it's triple hops brewed? They could have stopped brewing it twice with hops, but they didn't. They went that extra mile, and they brewed it with hops 3 times. The original light beer since 1975, and still the best one. I'm talking about Miller Lite. Great taste, 96 calories. Go to MillerLite.com/stand to find delivery options near you, or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. Tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.
Don Lebatard.
Yes, you can't talk about double-digit national titles when every single call of you winning the national title sounds like this. Oh, there's Stubby Checker running down the sideline. Yeah, and there's a World War II veteran pitching into another white guy, and he avoids another white guy. Oh, my God, Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish have done it again for the 8th time. Oh, they're playing white people.
Stugats.
Chubby Checker.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
He's black.
He's black, and I was like, yo, what's a white name? Chubby Checker. I think it's like, I'm sorry, man. I'm improv in here. It's a pretty cool riff. Yeah.
Running down the side.
He spells it differently. All right. His name is Chubby. Maybe you didn't hear me correctly. His name is Chubby Checkers. There's an S at the end.
I feel like that should be the largest of 5.
Yeah, Chubby. Yeah, it's Chubby Checker. It sounds like a college football name.
This is the Dan Lebatard Show with the Stugats.
Jay Glazer remains at the top of a very competitive game. Very few anywhere in sports journalism or in the information business have better contacts or more information than Jay Glazer. Thank you, as always, for joining us, Jay. I will remind people, Unbreakable is his mental health podcast. He is getting great freedom and liberation from showing people his vulnerabilities and showing them that they are not alone with some of the dark thoughts that plague us. Thank you, Jay, as always, for making the time for us. Got a lot of football that I want to get to with you, but before we do that, I want to show him some video here of an Avalanche broadcaster, Stugatz, Mark Rycroft, by accident during a game. They are just televising the game. We do not have the sound that you need here, but you can see the video of the disgust. He accidentally drinks from the cup of tobacco spit that his partner was spitting into a cup. He thought he was drinking coffee, and instead he drinks his partner's tobacco spit. Jay, it looks like you have a story here. You're profoundly disgusted by this, but also enjoying it.
Profoundly disgusted. So here's, I was in 7th grade. First time I tried Copenhagen and put it in my mouth, and teacher walked in the room, and
no, sir.
I have just drink it all up, and that
when I tried tobacco dip back in
make sure I never did chew tobacco ever again. Oh, one of the worst experiences of my life.
That's how my dad taught me the same way. This was a weird. Yeah, well, baseball players had these big straws in their mouth, and I was bothering my dad for years about it. And then we're just walking through a supermarket. He's tired of me bothering about it, so he just reaches into a bag of Copenhagen, doesn't teach me how to do it, sticks it in my mouth, and leaves the bag of Copenhagen there open on the shelf. And I, of course, swallowed it because I didn't want to spit up, and it was terrible. And I was 43 years old.
Waiting for it.
I think mine was, I think I had to do it for like, class for probably for like an hour. So I just sit there and just drink this for an hour. Oh, man.
No, it'll make you dizzy, and it's horrible. But drinking from your partner's cup, though, as horrible
That's even worse.
No, it's even worse to drink.
Yeah, especially because you probably know where your partner's been.
Yeah.
How about being a chaw dog during an NHL broadcast?
Oh,
that is
terrible.
gnarly.
Oh, that is terribly unpleasant. Look at that. You know how hard it is to discuss Jay Glazer? Look at him. He's cringing. He's wincing. He's
Because I am filthy, so that takes a lot. Yes.
What other liquors or substances can I get you to recoil that way on? Because I drank too much Rumpelmans in college.
Yeah,
one time.
I would say Jägermeister for me, because I was doing that with I was doing Jaeger and Rumpelmints and Fireball together.
Oh, God.
Jesus Christ.
Just kill you.
Yeah, that wasn't good. I think I threw up on my shoe or something like that. It wasn't great.
You went Rumpelmints in college, Dan, with the gold flakes?
Look at what he just did. Well, I didn't.
Bartending.
Yeah, I didn't know that it was peppermint schnapps. I didn't know it was 100 proof. But you just mixed a concoction of 3 awfuls. Jägermeister, you're trying to punish yourself there, Jay.
Yeah, horrible. I didn't know it at the time. I was too drunk to know I was punishing myself.
Let's talk some football here with Jay. The Tepper situation in Carolina, is this funny to you? Oh, you're shaking your head.
No, not funny at all. No, absolutely not. And first of all, I think you asked me a couple of weeks ago who's the worst meddlers in the league, and he's top. But then to go and throw, we're just coming out of a COVID era too, when people were a lot more sensitive to throwing in germs at other people. And you do that in disgust at fans. These are the people who are paying for all of us to have jobs. No, it's unacceptable. I think owners should get held to a higher level than anybody else, but that's ridiculous. Like, listen, there's been a lot of frustrated owners over the years. They don't go and take their drinks and throw them on fans because they're disgusted. Just, man, grow up. That's ridiculous.
Jay, though, I will explain to people, we were talking before you came on here, I was saying, man, this shadowy world of billionaires that somehow can keep all of their reckless behavior private. Can you explain to people just how poorly behaved this club of men can be in private? Because Tepper owns the team.
I'm not doing that. What? I'm not outing people. What, are you kidding me? No, you got somebody else that question. I'm not outing how bad a bunch of billionaires can be.
Can you speak in general terms, though, about the power in this sport, how it is that they're able to keep everything quiet while it is we report on everything else? That franchise in particular, Jay, Tepper's in charge, at least because they quietly escorted the previous guy out.
Yeah, they didn't quietly escort the previous guy out. The other guy got booted out. But Tepper's behavior is just, it's awful. It's ridiculous. It's not like they're going to say, okay, we can force a guy to sell because he threw a drink on somebody. But they should definitely hit him really hard. They should treat him with a harsher discipline than any other fan has ever been hit with for something like that.
Jay, with Michigan beating Alabama, do you feel like Jim Harbaugh is closer to staying at Michigan or closer to going to the NFL?
I think he's, dabbled the last couple of years. I think this year, especially because him being embroiled in controversy like that, he might just say, you know what, I'm tired of it, out of it, I'm done. He had 2 controversies early this year. I think he would be more inclined to go after, and I say go after, one of those jobs. Because it's different. Like, I think in the past, Jim Harbaugh's kind of interviewed for jobs, almost like he's interviewing them to see if he wanted to go there. And really, when you go after these jobs, you got to sell yourself. Doesn't matter who you are. You got to sell why you're the right guy for that place, and why life is going to be great while you're there with this person. So I think Jim has to come in this year and kind of sell himself a little bit more. But I think he does that this year, more than he has in the past.
Jay, it was cool to see you and the rest of the Fox team supporting Jimmy in Jerry Jones's box for his Ring of Honor ceremony. The camaraderie is second to none when it comes to that Fox team. But what happened at the end of that game was certainly newsworthy, and I know a lot of insiders have been doing a lot of reporting on what happened there. The Lions came prepared with a lot of receipts saying they talked to the officials before the game that play was coming, and there is circumstantial evidence of that player walking up to the official, and we don't know what's being said there.
Jared Goff, tell him to go over and make sure it's done,
Yeah, so what is exactly going to be the result of this? It seems as though, whether he heard him or not, that this would fall on the officials who screwed this up.
The result's going to be nothing. And Dan Campbell and I talked about this. we talked about this the next day. I said, you got to, make sure that your players know that it's not like they're going to overturn the results. So somehow you got to get them to say, okay, this is going to happen. We just got to move forward. And it's exactly what he'd been, 3 steps ahead already in doing that. But he was furious because he did everything he was supposed to do. He laid it all out to them. And Dan is a very detail-oriented guy. So I think that right there, like, he knew he'd done everything right. And, look, people are now saying, well, they try to fool the Cowboys. That's fine. Like, every play you're trying to fool the other team, right? You're trying to disguise what you're doing. So I don't have a problem with them trying to disguise what they're doing to the Cowboys also. Trying to confuse them, I think it's totally fine. And I think it's on the officials to make sure they get it right. But here's the thing, every week we're talking about the officials. And this is like, I have this talk with, head coach after head coach after head coach. It's not going to stop until the NFL decides to say to the officials, hey, let's start calling it like the replacements did years ago, where we just held back and let these guys do everything unless it was just completely blatant and obvious. You can call a penalty on every play, but the fact that they're the story every single week.
But Jay,
I don't expect anything to change.
But Jay, how do you? There's no fixing it. So at what point?
No fixing it.
But at what point does information guy Jay Glazer throw up his hands and say the game cannot be properly officiated? Period.
No, the game can be properly officiated if you stop looking at every single thing. Like, it's, again, I just said, like, when the replacement refs were in there, it was great because it was like the league was just like, hey, just back off. Don't be the story unless something is completely clear and blatant and obvious. And right now, it's just, like I said, it's not just this year, guys. It's been like this for the last several years, that officiating has just become the story. The officials should never, ever, ever be the story. It should never be. The product on the field of the players and the coaches, that should be the story, not the officials.
Give me the historical precedent for Joe
Yes.
Flacco.
Good question. Geno Smith, right? I mean, Geno kept playing, but, not like that, where he was away. But, yeah, I would say kind of a Geno Smith situation. But I was there at Browns practicing in L.A. at UCLA. And I went to go there to see Kevin Stefanski and a bunch of the guys. And Kevin walks over there and he says to me, how about Joe? I said, man, he's had all this rest. He just looks fresher than everybody else. It's unbelievable. But at the time, it was kind of almost more of a joke, like, man, how great is this? Would be incredible. But I don't think he expected Joe Flacco to return to a Super Bowl kind of Joe Flacco. It was great.
Jay,
by the way, real quick, you brought up the Jimmy Johnson thing because we just, floated over that. I know you've known Jimmy for a long time, but man, that was definitely one of the nights I'm sitting up there in the suite with our whole crew, and it was one of the nights where I look up to God, which I do a lot, and I'm like, thank you, my best friend, God Almighty, that I'm like 5-year-old Jay. If I told him, hey, you're gonna be sitting in the suite one time with Jimmy Johnson and Howie Long, Terry Bradshaw, Michael Strahan, Kurt Menefee, and Jerry Jones's box, and you're going to be on the field for this, Ring of Honor thing. Like, you got to be kidding me. And the next day, obviously, I have Dwayne come out on our show and The Rock, and he's talking to me about a lot how Jimmy, when Dwayne was, 15 and getting a lot of trouble, and he started watching college football and said, man, University of Miami, that's where I want to go. And it kind of helped save him, get him on the straight and narrow. And for him to be able to tell Jimmy that, it was such Jimmy's given us some great surreal moments the last couple of years, but our crew we're different. Like, we hang out constantly. We vacation together. We spend every holiday together. We're, godfathers of each other's kids. This will never happen again in TV, I don't think. And, it's because of how close we are. That was such an unbelievable weekend, man. I think we're all still kind of digesting it. We're all in this text change. That's how great it was.
Let me explore this for a second with you, Jay, because I have known Jimmy for a long time, and football has made him wildly, wildly happy. But getting away from how awful he had to be as a human being to coach successfully has given him great peace. It destroyed his relationship with Jerry Jones, and I did not believe they would ever get over the pettiness of it. Jimmy has said in the past, I will not be in that Ring of Honor while I'm alive. Jerry will never allow it. To see them late in life show gratitude toward each other after the silliness of what broke them apart, You were close to something that was really moving. Jimmy does not. To see Michael Irvin and Emmitt Smith not realize they're jostling an 80-year-old man who you need to be a little more careful with, because they're just.
He's a young 80, though.
Yeah, but he's a young 80. Yeah, he's a young 80. But you saw my father has been jostled by people who are stronger than him. They forgot he's 80 because he's always been coached. Like, you were around a really special thing that night.
No, and a few weeks earlier, myself, Jimmy, and Bill Richards, our producer, our executive producer, went to Cowboys Chargers here in LA, and on Monday night, and that's when Jimmy and Jerry kind of met. We all kind of were hanging out on the sidelines. They met up. Those two had their own little private talk, and that's where the fences were mended. And for me and I've just kept my mouth shut the whole time. It's not my business to talk about. It's Jimmy's business. But I was able to see that firsthand as well. It's like, my career is amazing where, and I always tell this to like Howie Long, I'll say, hey, I know we're supposed to act like we've been there before, but that I haven't. Like, this shit is cool.
Well, it's also cool, though, Jay, that you would experience the joys of gratitude in that moment, that while you're experiencing something that feels that good, you're also appreciative of it in a way that makes you not skip right past how amazing it is. Thank you for being
I always try to do that. Always try and make sure that I understand it and kind of live in that gratitude, because it's easy to act like, a lot of people, I think, act like, oh, yeah, we're going to act like we're, this is just another day. It's not just another day. You get paid to cover the NFL, like your dream job as a kid, and get these relationships with the greatest leaders of men in the history of sports. It's incredible.
And it's not just that, Jay. They're your friends. What you're saying is rare, is you guys are family. Yes, like they know your secrets. They know all your bad stuff. And you love each other despite it. It's very cool to see. It's been very cool to see you guys age on television together, because it's clear every time we're watching it that everyone there loves each other. Thank you, Jay. Good to see you again.
Hey, they've aged on TV. I have.
No, you have not. It's part of it's part of that serum, that $92 serum that you use, and the fact that you don't let us.
It was not cologne.
And you don't show us the gray hair either. There'd be gray hair if you weren't bald. You're cheating.
Love you guys.
Don Lebatard.
I feel like we need to normalize saying these scientific terms for
50 yards away from
organs
NFL record.
on the air. Like, if someone, you know what? If someone takes a foul ball to the penis, we should just say he took a foul ball to the penis. Say it.
Stugats.
That free kick hit him right in the cock-a-doodle-doo.
This is the Don Lebatard Show with the Stugats.
I'm not certain how you guys felt about the start times for the national semifinal college football games, but I hated them. I mean, seriously, I'm tired. My daughters, they don't listen to me anymore. I've lost them, okay? They're rolling their eyes. And I don't need, on January 1st, after sitting around for 10 days, gummies, debauchery,
Monday that feels like a Sunday.
Monday that feels like a Sunday.
Deontay
Do not
Harris
give
is
me
touchdown.
a 9 o'clock kickoff time for Washington. And who'd they play? I'm tired.
Texas?
Yeah, I didn't even see the game. It was too late. I don't want that. Give me a 2 o'clock and a 5 o'clock start. Give me a 1 o'clock, 5 o'clock start. Give me a 3 and a 6 o'clock start. I realize the Rose Bowl has to start at the same time every year. It's the granddaddy of them all. But do me a favor. Do not give me a 9 p.m. kickoff on January 1st of all days when I'm exhausted.
Billy, why are you shaking your head at him?
Just none of this surprises me.
Why?
None of it surprises
I mean, him not knowing that Texas played in it was.
Well, him not knowing that Texas played in it, and also he wanted to do a God Bless Football episode about the games yesterday and didn't know what teams played in them after the games already happened.
I said nothing about a God Bless Football episode yesterday. I did one last week on Monday. I did one last week on Friday. I did nothing this week. Hopefully, you and I will do one today. We'll see. But,
so you didn't watch the second game at all?
That's exactly what I'm saying. Why would anyone want to listen to one we did today if you just admitted you don't even know what teams played yesterday?
It was a great game. Came down to the last play. Texas had a chance to win at the very end. They didn't get it done. They should have gotten it done. I feel like Texas is probably the best team in the country, but they didn't get it done.
Sark, horrible play calls at the end of that game.
Sark, and McConaughey thinks he's the coach. He's out there on the sidelines. He's yelling at players.
15 seconds left in the game. Why are you doing a little screen pass for -1 yards, wasting 5 seconds?
Zagacki, do me a favor, McConaughey. Yell at players at 3 in the afternoon. I don't need it at 9:30, 10:30, 11 o'clock at night I need my games to be on earlier.
You want me to believe that that's an important game? Don't have them standing around waiting for the previous game to end before they kick it off.
Thank you.
Embarrassing.
Yep.
Billy,
you agree, Dan?
Nothing tells you you're second fiddle more than sitting around in a stadium of 80,000 people waiting for another game to finish.
We'll start when that game's over.
No, we'll start now. Thank you very much, CFP committee.
How about you start at 2 p.m.?
How about you start on time? Exactly right.
Oh my God, y'all so fucking old.
You can't really have that if you're starting the game.
It's so beautiful.
I like the nighttime. I don't know why people hate it so much.
Problem solved.
Little 1, little 5.
But then
Put me on the committee.
I missed my sunset in
No, you can still
Pasadena.
get your, no, you'll still get it.
5
That's the
o'clock,
second
Rose Bowl.
game. Exactly
Yeah, but
right.
not entering the fourth quarter.
Yes, it starts
Like
the
people don't
exact
wanna
same
fucking
time. You
tackle.
just have the other game before it. Put the other game at 2.
But then what about the West Coast?
Who cares about the West Coast? They don't care about sports on the West Coast, please.
That was football yesterday. That stadium, those two teams, the uniforms, the sun coming down, defensive battle, that was football.
It was a great Rose Bowl game, and it seemed like it was a great Sugar Bowl game. I could not fight my eyes come the third quarter.
Well, this
I felt
you know what? Okay.
I'm
look,
sorry
all right,
about that.
Now,
So you agree?
It was a great game, great wide receivers all over the field. Washington has arguably one of the greatest wide receiver sets of the last 20 years, are right up there with the LSU team.
Everyone discovered Washington was good last night.
No, I mean, I've known that
That's
they've
not
been good.
true, Stugotz. Come on.
A lot of people
Wait
did.
a
I
minute.
did. I
A lot
turned
of
on
people did.
Dan. I turned on ESPN radio this morning on the way in.
He's right.
Michael Penix.
All right.
Their conference doesn't even care about them. They folded.
Wait a minute. Just wait a minute. Okay. There's a certain amount of ignorance I cannot abide. Okay? Like, I understand he wants the laziest possible. Yes, let's do multiple podcasts when I haven't watched anything, and I'm just going to sort of fake my way through this. But people who've been watching Washington football all year have known how good that football team is.
They beat up on Oregon State. I know how good they are.
At Alabama by 2 touchdowns, and we all started questioning Alabama. But if you want serious analysis about what you saw yesterday, because you're giving the laziest
Really?
possible analysis.
I just want an earlier start.
No, but before that, Stugotz, before that, you were talking about Saban, awfully conservative on that drive. Most conservative Saban I've seen. When you get here 10 minutes ago, and you haven't been paying attention, to Alabama was outmanned up front. Like, this Alabama team, you love to do this Popovich thing of maybe his best coaching job yet. Nick Saban's team wasn't that good this year. Like, he was getting mauled by Michigan's offensive linemen. They made all sorts of shifts in the second half to disguise that that Milroe's not good enough.
I agree with you. It's why it's his best coaching job ever. I mean,
what Stugotz actually just said to me that you're not allowed to not be surprised by, Billy, is at 9 p.m. on January 1st of the year of our Lord, 2024, Stugotz actually muttered, "Football, leave me alone." Enough with the 9 p.m. game. The granddaddy, that's it. Look, it's sunset on my life. It's sunset on my happy hour.
What a game.
I can't do 9 o'clock football, even if you give me 37-31. I'm a tired old man mailing it in on edibles. I've been watching football for 10 days. Enough.
I was right there next to him. At least I made it to the third quarter. I just couldn't fight it off.
It ended at 1 in the morning. You guys keep saying, what about the West? What about the East Coast? It's 1 a.m.
Night Owl Billy over here.
You stayed up for it?
Well, I mean, 37-31 is a shootout. That extends the time that you're watching the game, more timeouts, all that. Give me a defensive struggle. I mean, if you're going to start a game at 9 o'clock, first team to 7 wins. Sir Dan, I can't stay up this late anymore.
They gave you a defensive struggle in the first game, and it still didn't matter. They're getting all their commercials in.
That was a quick game. Overtime ruined it, though.
You want a 9 o'clock start to not be a shootout? You want it to be a defensive game?
Just a quick one, yeah. Someone win it 7-0. Let's go to bed.
A lot of run plays. Get that clock moving.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you're so fucking
My eyes
old.
are so heavy that I didn't notice that there were boobs on my television. Did you? Well, certainly the person manning the control board over at ESPN didn't notice it either. Did you see that? They've had to apologize. They did one of those B-roll shots of Bourbon Street, a street where famously people toss beads.
It was a very subtle flashing.
It was quick. It was quick.
It wasn't like.
And unfortunately for them, the sponsor card almost blocked it entirely. But now there's a screen cap of a sponsor next to just someone getting beads.
Billy, you are not allowed, as the producer of God Bless Football, which I'm assuming has won all those podcast awards.
Oh, no, you can still vote for us.
Yeah, please do.
Where do you vote?
There's a link on Twitter.
Okay, excellent work.
Dashes.
Circa Las Vegas.
SportsPodcastAward.com.
You are not allowed to not be surprised by Stugatz muttering at 9 p.m. January 1st, "Football, leave me alone."
Monday, that feels like a sin.
But you don't know this creature so well that that's not surprising to you.
I mean,
when he's asking you to do multiple God bless footballs, he's ruining your time off by Billy. No one asked for those God bless footballs.
Well,
He didn't have. He had 10 days off. His daughters are rolling their eyes at him. He's like, I got to get my football opinions off, even if I haven't seen the games, and even if at 9 p.m. on January 1st, I'm like, football, leave me alone. I have to give my opinion somewhere.
You would agree, though. It was enough football.
Enough. It was a lot over the break. It was a lot of
Didn't
football.
need to blast it too.
Who needed that?
No one
I
needed
didn't
that.
need to see myself kick.
Let me tell you, the VRBO Fiesta Bowl, where they didn't care what time they were starting in Mountain West time. It was, I think it started at like 9:30 a.m. local time. Don't give me liberty. And you're going to do this. Don't give me liberty. Give me death. Like, don't do that. You're going to do this in an expanded playoff. You don't need to include the small crap schools in the expanded playoff.
Oh, come on.
We're expanding the playoff. If they're good enough, they can be one of the top 12 teams.
Dollars to Donuts, the national championship is not starting at 7:30. That's the listed time. Not a chance in hell the game starts at 7:30.
Dollars to Donuts.
Put it on the poll. Is anyone under 80 years old saying the phrase "dollars to donuts" at Levitard Show?
That thing has 9 p.m. written
all over it. That's a 9:02 kickoff if I've ever seen one. It says 7:30, but you know that's just so you tune into ESPN at 7:30. Then you start doing the multiple stealth bomber flyovers and all that stuff. Game's probably even in a dome. It is. What are they going to fly over for?
Yeah, it's in Houston.
But here's the thing, though.
But it is a retractable.
I've been loving the Washington story all year and the Pennick story all year, and I love watching them play offense because they throw the ball way down the field. But I was not with Stugatz on the idea of football, leave me alone, because I could have spent 3 hours one of those days talking about how James Franklin should have pressed assault charges for what Lane Kiffin did to him in that bowl game. James Franklin was exposed for all to see in Penn State football. Oh, my God. Lane Kiffin is much more aggressive offensively and has a great quarterback named Jackson Dart with the perfect name.
Perfect name.
I could have talked about at 2 a.m. If you had turned on the YouTube, I would have wandered over and asked James Franklin to press charges for assault on Lane Kiffin.
You're listening.
I want to talk about the game that I saw in its entirety that I didn't fall asleep for, which was the Rose Bowl game presented by Prudential Insurance. Number one, I don't need to see the marching bands. I love all the traditions there, but, you know, give me Walk the Moon doing Shut Up and Dance. I don't need to see the bands. The bands aren't doing much.
End of the hour. But it's part of the experience, much like, you know, the sundown and all that.
You've heard one, you've heard them all.
I get it.
Exactly.
They're all playing the same song.
There's just way more memeable moments if Jack Harlow's playing at halftime.
Tony hasn't gotten a word in edgewise for the entire show, and he just muttered "Band of the Hour" in the Zagacki voice.
Band of the Hour. I don't mean any offense. I don't mean any offense to the Alabama Crimson Tide marching band. It's just not. When they're talking, the few conversations that I've been around when they're talking about marching bands, Alabama's marching band hasn't come up. Just give me whatever pop artist du jour is there for a halftime show. I'm good with that. But I want to talk about the end of that game because a lot of people had the knee-jerk reaction out of a timeout, out of 2 timeouts. That's the play call? Bad play call. Terrible play call.
Got to be fucking serious.
It was a great play call.
Saban was so good in that game.
They had a bad snap as they had all game, and they say game of inches, and it's little things, and that game both teams were taking turns, blowing up almost entirely the little things that can put you over the edge in a game in a very close matchup.
It was a low snap, so it was supposed to be an RPO. And if you watch the play back, because I've done so on Twitter here a couple of times, everything was open for Alabama, but he got frightened and just ran straight into the line.
And you can understand why he gets frightened because it's a low snap, and that changes the timing up on everything there. And I think you're asking for unbelievable poise there. But not to toot my own horn, in the moment, I thought it was a good play call. And that's with their line being pretty devastated all night. by the Michigan line. You're going to call an offensive line play here in the final moments, but if you see, he has a pulling guard. All he has to do is follow his blocks. Now, that blows up the second the snap is bad, and he just runs straight into the back of the guard there. But he had the blocking assignment right there for him, and it would have been a great play call by Tommy Rees.
Mike, I think it was 55 Graham who they were talking about on the broadcast a ton because he was just in the backfield 24/7. But he pushes back on a bull rush on the guard so quickly that by the time that Milroe gets the ball and runs up, he's getting leg whipped by the offensive
You guys
lineman.
have to understand that what I saw in that game is Michigan up front manhandling them. That's what I'm not used to with Alabama. We can do the storyline of Saban over the last 10 years, the arc. The amazing thing that he did is win championships because he didn't have a quarterback. Before A.J. McCarron, it was an assembly line of people who weren't actually any good, who were close to winning the Heisman the way Gino Torretta did. 19 touchdown passes, 59% completion rate, because he had all the best athletes all the time. That gap is closed and closed so much that what stood out to me is Alabama was an underdog and should be. Milroe cannot run the ball 11 carries for -2 yards early in the game because they're getting mauled up front. Michigan is clearly stronger on both sides of the up front.
His signature celebration.
And the coaching is allowing Saban to stay in a game where
I'm
I
down
think
3
Michigan's got
scores in the
better
fourth
players, not better
quarter.
skill guys
12 minutes to go.
necessarily, but
A
it was
little
the
less than that, but I
uniforms
still
that
got time.
contributed. But Alabama should have been an underdog in that game.
And McCarthy has NFL prospects, but I also watched that game, and I kind of felt like both teams were doing the best that they could with the limitations that they have at quarterback. Now, I like Jalen Milroe. He still has a way to go, and if he improves next year over year, the way that he did just in this season alone, they're going to have a really good player on their hands. But McCarthy had a very difficult time, and you saw a lot of players who it doesn't always work out the way that it does for Michigan, where they get embarrassed by TCU in that they lost, and everyone pointed to the national championship game saying TCU didn't even belong in there. Well, they got there by beating Michigan. And Corum comes back. Roman Wilson makes tremendous play after tremendous play. That ball that J.J. McCarthy had batted near at the line that changed the trajectory of that. And Roman Wilson, who was a scapegoat earlier on that drive,
great play,
pulling that ball down the way that he did.
Saves the entire season.
Saves their season. I thought it was
they got out coached. I'm telling you, what I was watching yesterday impressed the holy hell out of me with Nick Saban losing. Now, Michigan did it.
Best coaching job he's ever done.
Michigan did on that last drive against Saban's defense and against a game's worth of information. Michigan did what they had to do to rescue their season. But what they did in overtime, handing the ball off and just scoring on 2 plays, they mauled them up front. Alabama doesn't have the advantages it has had. The gap is closed, and now what Saban can do in the margins is, he'll outcoach you, but he'll lose by 7 in overtime because his quarterback, who Bill O'Brien said shouldn't be a quarterback, panicked at the end.
He doesn't trust that quarterback.
No, but shouldn't.
Panicked because it was a terrible snap. But we don't know the center's.
No, but I'm talking after Michigan missed a field goal and Alabama had a chance to put the game away. It would have been over if they scored 7. They did it. They scored they kicked a field goal. He was very conservative in that drive because Saban does not trust that quarterback. I'm not certain he'll be the quarterback next year for Alabama.
He's around that quarterback all the time if he decides, and he's trusted quarterbacks.
That quarterback has won a lot of games for him, Mike.
This year, Dan. But Stugatz, the reason I thought Alabama wasn't any good is because they lost by 2 touchdowns at home to Texas in a game where that quarterback looked incompetent. It looked to me, going into South Florida, like Alabama was going to have a 4 or 5 loss season because they didn't have a quarterback and because the gap had been erased. All these other teams got here quickly with money, and it's not what it used to be. He will have a coaching advantage, but he doesn't have a talent advantage anymore. And I say again, Stugatz, Georgia would have been favored against all 4 of the remaining teams. The money, when the gambling and information was exchanged, the money would have been on the best team in this sport is not Alabama. It is not Michigan. It is not Washington. It would have been Georgia as a favorite against everybody. That's what Nick Saban was an underdog in these playoffs and should have been. You have to be impressed by him beating Georgia. I don't think anyone else could do it. I think he's the only human being on earth who could have beaten Georgia.
Michigan doesn't beat Georgia?
I don't think
they'd have a chance.
They wouldn't be favored. They would not be favored against Georgia. They'll be favored against Alabama, but I would be curious what the spread would be in that game, but it wouldn't be Georgia's an underdog.
Yeah, Michigan's an extremely good team, and I think given what we saw yesterday and what we'll see in the national championship game, if it goes their way, that's undoubtedly a great Michigan team. And I know it's technically a Pac-12 team this year, but that team's headed to the Big Ten, and I think a lot of the SEC stuff that it's only going to get worse with ESPN having the SEC rights and the Big Ten basically being the other guys now. It puts ESPN in an interesting predicament because they're incentivized to bang the drum for the SEC more than they already have.
But you say this is obviously a Michigan team that will have as reputation one of the best that there's ever been, because Michigan doesn't often play for the national championship. And under Harbaugh, guys, you've been tough on Harbaugh. Like you've said that he's been a failure.
Well, he has.
But if not for Michigan, Ohio State, with a bowl game that doesn't mean very much because you get a lot of opt-outs, but Ohio State lost. Their one loss was barely against Michigan, and they lost to the third best SEC team. Penn State got dragged by Lane Kiffin. Like, that was embarrassing to watch. Where I'm looking
35-23, and it wasn't even that close.
Of the field, and I'm watching that Lane Kiffin is toying with James Franklin playing conservative ball while he's handing it to fat guys and have them throw passes, because he's not at all scared of the kind of football that they play. Because it's not the kind of football they play in the SEC. That Michigan would beat what I believe to be a weakened Alabama team does not make me believe in Michigan. They may indeed be able to maul Washington up front because Washington's defense isn't very good. And they may maul their way to a championship, but that style of football they play in that conference, it will fall behind the SEC. Like, they will not be able to keep up with whatever Texas and Oklahoma become when they get into the big money conference. It's going to look like handoff ball, and you're not going to be able to win against these offenses from the future with a bunch of athletes mauling your way on the offensive and defensive line. Like, this isn't sustainable. That conference pales compared to the SEC. It does, obviously.
As two Big Ten teams are about to play for the national championship.
Yes.
It's kind of weird. You're not looking at the landscape of football. If all this talent is being spread out through all the other conferences, yeah, give me the ones with the lines, because they don't have the lines now.
It's funny, I'm reading a quote here, and Brady agreed. Harbaugh said that J.J. McCarthy's the best quarterback in Michigan history. And Brady, being the humble Brady, said, yeah, I agree, go blue. Harbaugh never saw Elvis Gerbeck. I mean, thank you.
At 8-8, the Seahawks will clinch a playoff berth if they win plus a Packers loss or tie, or Seahawks tie plus Packers loss plus Buccaneers loss or tie, or Seahawks tie plus Packers loss plus Saints loss or tie.
Oh, wow.
Again, once a tie comes in,
Hasn't been one all season. Yeah.
Welcome to Pablo Torre Finds Out. I am Pablo Torre, and today we're going